Okay. Hopefully that will have helped. I've changed the bitrate now. Just wait for people to join back in if I get a new shareable link as well. Apologies for the tech issues. It has been an interesting experience, that's for sure. Let's just... Obviously, I would have loved to have done a tech test last night, but given that it wasn't working until about 30 minutes ago, there's been some issues. Okay, so far so good. Yeah, I dropped the bitrate significantly, so the quality of the stream will be lower, but it shouldn't be dropping, which is ideal. We're going to keep this one going and hopefully get through the whole game, and if needs be, I can have a look at adjusting between games 2 and 3. All righty then. Seems to be okay. Amazing. Amazing. Let me just do a new announcement. Apologies. New stream as old one was lagging. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Perfect. So, as I was saying, we are back to Dwarves versus Nomadic Waaagh. Should be a fun one. This is a battle for the ages, as you can see here. If we just go to the top down, already starting to deploy. This is the, and I'm so terrible for names, which is going to now bite me in the backside. I'm pretty sure this is called Close Encounters, which is the one where you are deployed very close to each other there. So only 18 inches of distance between. And the thing that Dwarves don't love necessarily when they're playing against an aggressive army, that aggressive army can reach them on turn 1. Nomadic Waaagh, very, very keen on it. Let's have a look at the list and see what we can glean. Steck says I want to say it's good, but I don't want to jinx it. I did a quick calculator, so I had a look at the, before we get into the list, I did have a quick look at what the upload speed was yesterday, and it's 22 down. Which is not too bad, and it was 3 meg up, which is not amazing. And if I'd known it was going to be that low ahead of time, I would have tried to resolve, find some other internet to work from. But I think since I've dropped the bitrate, I just used a bitrate calculator, this should be okay. So, let's start off here with Peter's list. Peter, who is playing for the Dogs of War, which is a team that has been formed, a coalition of players who wanted to come and play at a team's event, but didn't necessarily have a team to play between them. I believe Peter is a Saffron Slammer, but I could be entirely wrong about that. In fact, I'm fairly certain I am wrong about that. I think it's Thomas who's the Saffron Slammer. So, top to bottom, we've got obviously 2,600 points here. This is a bigger event than you might see normally, which is great because you get to have lots of models on the board. We've got an Orc Warboss here, Wyvern, Trollhide Trousers, the choppiest chopper. So this is a little bit squishier than you might normally see. Because normally when you're looking at the Wyvern on Warboss, you look to go for that regen and the ward save. However, this does give some flexibility. Maybe they needed something to do with Ethereal in the list, so having the choppiest chopper there means that they are able to max out on the armor save while also still getting that strength 6 attack, AP 3. Not too shabby. AP3 all of the time is really nice as well. The great weapon with choppers for orcs gives them AP3 on the charge with great weapons, and you get to reroll 1s to wound, so I find it very hard to give up. But there are some upsides to going for a magical weapon, and as magical weapons go, chopper's a pretty good one. Second Wyvern. So I'm assuming the reason that Peter hasn't gone for a ward save is because he's got 2 Wyverns, and if you've got one that's tankier than the other, it becomes a lot harder to keep both of them alive. When one of them is just more squishy, you know that's the one that's going to die basically as soon as possible. We've got Martog's Best Basher, which is weapon skill, initiative, strength, and AP, which is not bad because Orc Warbosses are only weapon skill 6. Getting up to that weapon skill 7 is quite nice when you're going into other Lord level characters or anything with weapon skill 3. Getting you hitting on 2s is always solid. Combo that with the Waaagh for a turn of hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, and you're going to be pretty jazzed. We've got a big boss here, BSB, with the Banner of Butchery, which is +1 strength for charge, and also relatively tanky, Dead Hard Armor for the full plate, +1 toughness. We've got a Warbow and Shield there, so rocking a 2-up save, so fairly hard to kill. I'd like to see a Charmed Shield here, but still pretty tanky. Rolanda Rada says, come on, you greenskins. Yeah, absolutely. Or come on, you dwarves, depending on which side of the fence you're on. I feel like as the commentator, you've got to be impartial to some degree. Goblin Odd Nob, level 4 Wizard on a Chariot. Idol of Gork, giving you extra range. This is really nice if you combo it with Itchy Nuisance. Getting that 18-inch range Itchy Nuisance with the ability to reroll 1 spell a turn is absolutely solid. War Magic, super great as well for Nomadic Waaagh. If you've got War Magic, you're going to be looking to get the It's Not Evil Sun Shining, the Here We Go, which gives them extra range and declarable range on their charges as well. There's a second Wizard. Whatever you want to use, buddy. We've got a fancy dice cam and just been asked which dice to use, but we're kind of just freeballing it here. I was thinking of using the Saffron Slam dice, and then they didn't pick up amazingly well on camera, so we're just going with what we have. I have both armies, so don't give you flack. Although one is on sprue. I wonder which one's on sprue, given that you're cheering for the green tint skins. Nice to see Chris is here rooting for the Dwarves, so we've got some backing for both sides. We've got a roll-off here, so just quickly swap. Looks like that is Dwarves getting the choice of first turn. The handshake coming in, very important. The most important part of a Warhammer tournament. You can skip playing the games as long as you keep the sportsmanship high. All right. Looks like the players did forget to roll their spells, which I cannot lambast them for because it is so easy to do. Very, very common to go for. Going back to the lists. Let's have a look at the list here. So, we've got Intercore, we've got 5 Wolf Riders, Open Order and Skirmish. It's got everything in there. So these are Cav Spears and Shields. Cheap, cheerful, 50 points. I find more likely to lose you a game with Impetuous, but pretty solid either way. For what you get for 50 points, it's hard to argue with. Couple of Goblin Wolf Chariots, 14 Boar Boys. This is the big heavy hitters. So there's the BSB that's going to join them, giving them +1 strength on the charge. They're biggins, they're getting +1 strength there as well. And they have the Angry Lads flag. Now, this unit is really hard to control. I played against it last weekend, actually. And if your opponent's playing a really mobile army, such as Bretonians, you can run them around the board. However, Dwarves, a little bit harder to run someone around the board. Frenzy is not so much of a downside when your enemy only moves 3 inches a turn. There are a couple of Gyrocopters, so I'd love to see those doing some frenzy baiting, because we do have those Boar Boys right at the front, but we will see how that goes. Some more Wolf Riders, another Wolf Chariot, and then a couple of Oak Boar Chariots, another unit of Boar Boys with very few upgrades, just going frenzy, so putting out a lot of attacks, but they're only going to be strength 4 attacks. Strength 4, AP2 on the charge. Not too shabby. A third unit of Bulk Boar Boys, also frenzy. So this is really just a full send list paired with a giant. Giants Club, Calloused Hide. All of the things that you expect to see, given that they're default upgrades, but nothing that makes me excited. So I'm hoping that the Giant does well this game, but I will be surprised if it does. We'll go into the... Oops. We'll go into the movement phase here. You can see that the Dwarf player is getting started, and then when we get a little bit of a lull, we'll have a look at the Dwarf list indeed. The main thing to know is there is a big unit of Longbeards, a big unit of Rangers, a couple of units of Gyrocopters, and then there's 3 cannons and some Iron Drakes. So up in the top left, you can see where the, I believe the Rangers are deployed using their scout move. Stex cheering for the Giant? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. The setup looks great. Thank you, Pester Gore Enjoyer. It better do, because the blood, sweat, and tears I've had to put into it to get it actually playable is... it's feeling super worthwhile. I'm so happy for this to actually going. The one thing I will say is the camera here that I'm looking into now, not the best. It keeps falling. So, I do have double-sided sticky tape. What I'll do is when there's a lull, I'll just double-sided sticky tape it down onto my screen, and then we'll be able to deal with it. I shouldn't put tears in my electronics. Steck, you're absolutely right. That's probably the issue that I was having. Can the Boar Boys make it around the back to destroy what seems to be siege engines or weaker units? They're triple cannons in this list. Do like me some Dwarf cannons. I know they're a lot weaker than their, compatriots in the cannons that you can get for Empire or Cathay or Bretonia or any of the other armies with cannons. But just how accurate they are, I find them really valuable to have. Hey, Tolmy, good to have you. Ed says, I love a stupidly large block of Boar Boys, yeah. Big shout out to Rebecca earlier in the edition. Ran, I think it was for Square Base Online Tournament number 2, where she ran a block of about, I think it was about 30 ball boys. Basically just maxed out her core with only ball boys and characters, which I respect. Got the Iron Drakes there in the center. Iron Drakes are very nasty. The thing that I've played both sides of this matchup, if you're the Orc player, if you get into combat, things are great. However, getting into combat is the problem. And even though there's only 10 of those Iron Drakes, there's going to be one turn that the Iron Drakes are going to be able to shoot, and then there's also a stand and shoot as well. Dwarves, not really known for taking penalties on their stand and shoot, so it's basically just 2 full shooting phases that Peter's going to have to deal with. A little bit of moving forwards. It looks like, to me, Thomas is going to be able to get some shots. The Greenskins are very keen to get into combat, deploying basically on the line, which means that they are going to get shot turn 1, which is not exactly what they would want to see. Iron Drakes are hellishly good. Yeah, I absolutely agree. They are fantastic. They are so reliable. Okay. I remembered that Lewis asked me for a link for the stream 20 minutes ago, so here we are. Oh, drinking a nice aloe vera drink. Tell you what, I'll tell you about my journey to Coventry to make the stream work when we get a lull. How do you think the Orcs and Gobbos are going to deal with those copters? I'm not sure they are going to deal with them. So given the list that they have got a lot of chaff. They've got the chariots. Chariots are not bad at hunting down the copters. Yes, the copters can march. What are they equipped with? They've got the clatter guns. So obviously clatter guns able to march and shoot, assuming that I've got the correct ones, because they are the only ones that I remember seeing, honestly. I believe it's the march and shoot gun. Just double check here. Yeah, move and shoot. Multiple shots, D6, strength or AP1. So it's going to be really difficult for the Orcs and Goblins player to tie them down, especially given that there's 3 frenzied units. But looking at the position of the copters, I'm not super worried. There's going to be... Actually, looking at it, I think there's 2 units that are currently going to be frenzy baited by those copters. I take it back. I'm incredibly worried. Both sides eager to get into combat. I'd say the Dwarves really eager to get into shooting range. Oh, wow. I looked away for a second, and that is a lot of dead ball boys. How many dead are we looking at? 5 so far. I've had word from Peter that he spent a lot of time hand-painting tattoos on these models, and they do look fantastic. And something that I'm hoping to do down the line is add additional cameras so we can have extra angles. But it was hard enough to get one camera working for this stream, so I'm glad that I didn't make that a goal for this one. The change to Vanguard really messed with my Nomadic Waaagh list. Yeah, that is sad. That definitely is sad. Mark says, I'm posting the link out to all the groups you're in now. Appreciate that, Mark. Thank you very much. Orc says, are these Grand Alliance Dwarves or X-Force? These are, honest to goodness, just real Dwarves. It's not something you see all that often, but I actually quite like the regular Grand Army list for Dwarves. It lets you take a good variety of things. If you want to take Longbeards and Rangers in core, and you still have access to, the Copters, the Cannons, the Iron Drakes, just gives you a little bit of everything. Obviously, we have got the very important... Oh, I looked away again, and there's just more Orcs dead. This is punishing. You really don't want to go second when you're playing the aggressive full send list. I think maybe the correct decision here might have been to deploy 21.1 inches back from the line so that those Iron Drakes weren't going to be able to get forwards and shoot. Only an 18-inch gap on this deployment map, so this is where Iron Drakes can really take their pound of flesh. Them poor boys. It's Saving Private Ryan down there. It really is. We're down to 3 brothers. But if you've seen Saving Private Ryan, you know that by the end of the film, there's only 1 brother that's saved. So there are some more dice coming. Thomas using the Dwarf dice that I believe every Dwarf player legally has to use. They are really nice, though. Could be a short game. Well, it's going to be action-packed, that's for sure. That's for sure. The plan that I have here is I'm going to be streaming the games as individual streams. I'm going to be putting notifications up in Discord. If you're here and you don't want to miss the next game, make sure that you are on the Discord. Link is in the description. I'll be posting in the announcement channel, but the game 1 will be tomorrow, game 1 will be starting around 9:15, 9:30, and then it'll be just after lunch again around 1 o'clock. And today we've got a game now, and there's going to be another game coming sometime after, I believe, about 5 o'clock. But again, if you want updates, make sure that you're plugged in to the Discord. Short game, that goes in the book. No, it's because the dwarves are going to shoot the orcs off the map, I think, is the implication there. Was that a joke? That's a gloraging. Hell yeah. Lovely looking terrain there. It is. Good to have you, Tom. Hope you're doing well. So this is one of the things that Lewis is really proud of is his lovely terrain. And his terrain is fantastic. I give him rib for it for the 40k events where you kind of need mathematically, geometric terrain, but I think it works perfectly here. He's got a good range of terrain. He's also gone for some square-based terrain pack terrain. So he's got, I think, the top 4 tables all use the square-based terrain. Was it the TCP, the terrain picking system, or TPC? I guess it is. So this is a setup as designed by Rob, but he wanted to put them on this table because this is the newest terrain, so he reckons that they look the nicest, which I don't disagree with. I think it's a really nice set of trees, especially. Lovely dice, but they don't show up on camera all that well. Yeah, that's really true. What I'm thinking is hopefully by the next time we do an event, I'll have some dice which show up well on camera, because the Saffron Slam ones also don't show up super well on camera, although being very legible in... Oh, no. Oh, no. How do you spell system? TPC instead of TPS, yeah. Well, now's a good time to let you all know that I am technically dyslexic, and by mocking me, you are bullying a disabled person. That's my defense, and I'm sticking to it. Lovely. Well, thanks for checking in, Amy. Good to have you here. Hamsfan was hoping for 3 Wyverns. 3 Wyverns is fun. It's one of the most fun things I think you can do with Nomadic Waaagh. I'll have to give that a go. You're also dyslexic. You've got to pass. Man, you've got me in a box there. And you pay to mock me. This is true. Hope Lewis is keeping you all stocked up in tea and coffee. That's a really good point. Let me just send him a message. Tea, please. 1 sugar and a splash of milk. Strong tea bag left in, and then he can have XOXO. So give him some kisses because he's bringing me a drink. All right. What are the characters like for the Waaagh? Sorry, I don't know why it's not coming up. I'll have to double check my alert box settings here. Let me get that sorted on the back end, but the characters are pretty good. So we've got a pair of Wyverns. Neither of them has a ward save. We've gone, or Peter's gone, I should say, double regen. So we've got both with Troll High Trousers, pretty standard. It's exactly what you'd expect to see. One's got the choppiest chopper, and one has got Martog's best basher. So it's looking to me like he's pretty worried about Ethereal. We've got a BSB with the Banner of Butchery, +1 strength on the charge. And he's equipped with the Dead Ard Armor, full plate +1 toughness. A level 4 wizard on a chariot, a Goblin Odd Knob with Idol of Gork and Talisman of Protection. Finally, we've got a level 1 wizard with Waaagh Magic on a wolf. Now, level 1 wizard on a wolf, a goblin, I'm taking that purely for Itchy Nuisance. Hey, Lee, good to have you. Hope you're doing well. The square bases do it like this. Normally, this is actually, so Lee is from my 40k team. This is the most 40k I've seen a game be in a while, in that turn 1, a lot of stuff was removed from the board because of shooting, because it was out in the open. So we'll get to some glorious melee later in the game, I'm sure. Looking like some declared charges coming in here for Peter. So all of those frenzied units are currently in charge range. I'm seeing that unit of rangers up in the top left, and I'm wondering, is that a misposition? Because it looks to me like that's the massive bus. Oh, not a great charge there. Oh, nope. We haven't got to the charges yet. These are spells. Just spells. But yeah, it's looking to me like that top bus of orcs with the BSB as well. Oh, terrible casting rolls coming in from Peter. That is unfortunate. When you're pressured this heavily, you really can't afford to take a turn off. Seeing there, he's getting some different dice out. Those dice not doing well, sticking them in the in the bin. They'll be ritually cleansed later, I'm sure. Basher's good tech means you're initiative 6, so a flank charge will be initiative 10, and strike alongside the annoying poison tail. That's really interesting, Amy. Not something that I had thought about. Amy is our resident Orcs and Goblins expert, and if there's something in the book that might be good but doesn't look good at the face of it, you know that Amy will have tested it. Yes, I am talking about Ragnarok spiders and Troll Horde. Take a hammer to one, make an example for the rest of the dice. You have to do it sometimes. You've just got to teach them that, the way that they're acting is unacceptable. Looks like we've got some impetuosity rolls coming out, and those goblins are going to have to charge into the copters, which is exactly what those copters want. Being used to frenzy and impetuous bait, really, really solid use of them. I think the best way you can use them, because frankly, Gyrocopters don't do a huge amount of damage. As a Bretonnia player, I love melee. As a Tau player, I hate melee. That is very reasonable. I can, as someone who has been both, I can appreciate that. Running it down in all game systems. You're welcome to come run it down, buddy. We're in your neck of the woods. You know, we're in Saffron, Walden. Feel free to pop on down and say hi. I know you're working all day, though. Day 6. Poor John. Poor Scrivo. He's on day 6 of his working. So hopefully he manages to get through. Where is this comp? It's not really, I don't think there's much in the way of comp here. It's 2,600 points, and I think that's it. I don't think there's anything in terms of actual comp on there, but let me just pull up the pack. Hey, thank you very much, Ben. I appreciate that. I'm hoping that I haven't... You know what? I'm thinking... I might have accidentally turned all the things off that I wanted on and all the things on that I wanted off. Because if that is someone subscribing, that could pop up quite frequently. I think there was something with balloons restrictions. I don't think there were any actual restrictions. There was a plea to sanity, I will say. But there wasn't actually a restriction there. Okay. I'm just going to fix the alert box now. Oh, yeah, that's why. I did have everything that I didn't want to be turned on was turned on, and vice versa. Okay. That should have fixed the alert box. Let me just see if I can... Perfect. Cool. All right, while the charges are being declared, let's have a quick look at the list that we're running into for the Dwarf player. So, we have got... Thomas, who is one of the resident Saffron Slammers, got a very choppy king, so he's got a 2-up save from the Rune of Gromril. He's going to have a 5-up ward save from being in the same unit as the Thane with the Rune of Master Rune of Grogny. 2 Runes of Fury, so 6 attacks, only strength 6 with the Great Weapon, but still pretty choppy. Rune of Preservation to be immune to Killing Blow as well. This is a really standard king build. You either see people go Smiting or Rune of Fury. I like leaning more into the Rune of Fury now. And I think that Smiting is something that you can only really combine with all of the other pieces if you do go Royal Clan. Obviously, that's great, but it's not something that we can go for in this list. Love the base and the Nomadic Waaagh. Yeah, they're amazing. I was very, very happy to get some closer pictures there. We've got the bursting flame accuracy rapid fire gun Thane. This thing is going to just pick up units on its own. If you stand, if he stands and shoots, he's going to have a really good time in terms of making sure that you're sad. We've got the BSB Thane, who is relatively tanky here. Full plate shield, Gromel hand weapon. So we've got that 3-up armor save. We've got a Rune of Fury for an extra attack and also immune to multiple wounds, which I don't hate. It's only 25 points, but maybe not super useful on a model with only 2 wounds. Got a Runesmith and a Rune Lord, so really good protection against magic spells. We've got the Master Rune of Calm there and the Master Rune of Balance. So the Balance... Well, Calm is the important one, making it harder for your opponent to cast spells. Got Burlock Damonson as well to make those rangers not take penalties when they're shooting. Or the Iron Drakes, which is probably where he's deployed currently. I would love to have some close-up cameras here. A big unit of Longbeards and Rangers. Rune of Battle, Rune of Courage on the Longbeards. You never want to charge away from Terror Causers. We're seeing some Fire and Flee happen on the small screen there. We've got the Rangers who've also got Rune of Courage, but they're fully equipped otherwise. Crossbows, great weapons, throwing axes, shields. You know it, full command as well. 2 units of 2 copters, both with classic guns, 3 cannons, 1 with the Rune of Reloading, 1 with the Stalwart Rune, and 1 with the Rune of Reloading and the Stalwart Rune. And then we've also got a unit of 10 Iron Drakes, and the champion has the Cinder Blast bombs as well, making it really punishing if you do go for the standing and also the shooting. All right. David Jones says, any Blood Bowl players among the Saffron Slam group? I'm newish to the town and looking to play Blood Bowl. I don't know, David, but I can probably find out for you. As soon as Lewis brings me that tea that I ordered, I'll ask for you. Steck says, Comp was banned Tomb Kings until we cornered about. Comp was also banned Cathay, if we go by the spurious rumours. Amazing. I've got someone who would love to know, are there any Blood Bowl players in Saffron Walden, in the Saffron Slammers group? Amazing. David, they're thinking about starting a league when new players come out. So if you hop on down the Discord, I'll do my best to connect you to someone who might be able to connect you to them. A Saffron Slammers Discord. Amazing. Well, if you pop on down to our Discord, tag me in the general chat, and I will make sure you get a link to that at some point in the next 48 hours, depending on how quick I'm able to do things. Snack says, not rumors, got a rat on the inside. There is one Skaven player here, so that means that if you've got a rat on the inside, we know who it is. The Cathay comp was lifted when it all got too much attention. That's true. That is objective fact. Objective fact. So we're seeing a lot of failed charges, and by failed charges, I mean the opponent ran away from them. So, yes. Unfortunately, you do still have to move the full distance. Something that you can do if you are frenzy baited, just getting back to the game, or impetuous baited, as you can see with these wolves here, is that, it looks like, I wonder if that top left unit there was meant to charge but hasn't. I'm not sure if they've done that, because it looks like they're just moving. I don't want to interfere with the game, so we'll just see how it comes as it goes. I'm hearing dice being rolled as well. So let's... this looks to me like the stand and shoot into the big unit of Boar Boys. So this is the important one. These are the rangers in the top left, standing and shooting into the big unit of Boar Boys, currently touching the terrain. 2 at AP0 must be... They have crossbows. I was thinking it was the Iron Drakes for a second. The problem with dwarves is they do all kind of look a little bit the same. Which sounds racist. That's not what I meant. All the dwarf models have limited differences in visibility. So that is not a bad charge. Of course, if he does fail it, he has got Warband, but it's looking to me like it's in. Oh, reroll with Warband. Here we go. That one on the Swift Stride. Fantastic. Looks like they're in. I guess he's not actually touching the wood. It just looked like it from my perspective. But he did manage to avoid taking... Oh, you know what? He was touching the wood for the stand and shoot. But then when the models died, he pulled out of the wood. Nice little technical play there by Thomas. I hope it was... not Thomas, Peter. I hope it was deliberate, because that was, very nice. Maybe it's better not to stand and shoot there to make it so that they don't get the charge into you. I'm pretty sure that the Thane of Bursting Flame is not in that unit. This tea is too hot. I don't know why I'm raising it to my mouth. Too late. This going in the book. You know what? That's fair. I apologize for my actions. I will be better. I will be better. Mandalay is tuning in from Australia. Love the streaming. Was there a round one stream? Only just tuned in. Unfortunately, there was not a round one stream. And I will share the story of that when we get to a lull in the gameplay. Or maybe at the end of the stream, depending on how long this goes. This is a more aggressive, more fast matchup. So it might be a shorter game, depending on who, both sides could win. I don't want to go in the book for that as well. If the Dwarfs win, it's going to be a fast game as well. But I've had just a palaver. This isn't the Saffron in Leicester. No, this is down in Essex, because I was in Coventry. Not Coventry. I'm telling you lies. I was in Coventry last weekend. I was in Cambridge. There we go. Really nice city, Cambridge. Way more bikes than I was expecting to see. I should not blow into my microphone. I've just realized what a stupid thing that is to do. I apologize. Sorry about that. I won't do it again. If the Dwarfs win, it won't be short. It'll be average height. That's correct, Steck. I may have added a little bit of editorial information on the end there, but you are 100% correct. Speedrun Book of Grudges, 100%. Yeah. Back from the Brink says, can we get a link to the tournament pack? I haven't got access to it here, but if you go to elmominiatures.com or if you just Google Saffron Slam, it is the top result there. Leicester 6th to 7th. Is that the UKTC one you're talking about, Eichelt? I think that one was cancelled if it is the UKTC event. Yeah, they had low turnout. I don't think they're selling tickets to that one now. The next UKTC one, I believe, is Nottingham in January. But I will use this as a moment to plug the TSN Arena, which not a sponsor of this live stream, but just a friend of the channel. If you're interested in great events, I cannot recommend them enough. They're a really fun place to go. Let's get back to the game, because I realize as I've been waffling and reading chat, which is a joy, I have been missing the excitement, which is we have got the big unit of ball boys in. We did see the roll for that. He did manage to get it with the Warband reroll, but that is really, really big in my opinion. They only took a couple of wounds from Stand and Shoot. They are pretty much guaranteed to win combat, but Dwarves do not crumble in one round. It is very likely that in Tom's turn, the Dwarf player, the unit of ball boys are going to still be in combat with that unit of rangers. They will then have an opportunity to overrun, potentially getting the artillery at the back, or after the overrun, depending on where they land, test to reform, turn and charge down the flank of one of those big units that Tom has got there. So this could be a very pivotal charge to pick up. Sorry to break it to you, Eichelt. Why did he put the chariot in the wood? This is too big brain for me, and I don't play the army. That is a great question. Now, the answer to that is, chariots obviously very, very vulnerable to dangerous terrain. They only take wounds at the same rate. You still have to roll a 1 on the dangerous terrain chart, but if you do roll that 1, you're taking D3 wounds instead. Looks like some short bow shots there in my eyes. I'm assuming Goblin Wolf Riders down the bottom right. I haven't, unfortunately, got the players mic'd up, given all of the tech issues I've had, so I'm kind of just freeballing this a little bit. You put the chariot in the wood because you don't roll 1s. As a Tomb King player, it'll be fine. Yeah, but you can heal your chariots up. Oh, it looks like we've gone straight to combat already. I think these are just, this is the combat up at the top. Yes, yeah, this is the big important combat, so really important one. Looks like we've got the, this must be characters that are doing the attacking here, as opposed to the regular, yes. Rangers starting to be healed already, which is exactly what we want to see. I don't want to say that I'm biased towards Nomadic Waaagh, but I think I do like Nomadic Waaagh more. This is the BSB making a ludicrous number of attacks. Rerolling 1s, must have popped the Waaagh this turn. Alright, only 3 hits there out of the 5 attacks. Not as exciting as it could be, and only equipped the hand weapon, I believe. Really like how this pincer attack is being set up. Are they boar or wolf chariots? There's a little bit of both. So as far as I can tell, the most top chariot here next to the 2 copters in the top left, that is a boar chariot. And then in the bottom right, behind the wolf riders down the bottom, also a boar chariot as well. Lewis says, thanks for tuning in, everyone. I agree. Thank you so much for being here. This is a genuine pleasure to be able to do. Obviously not something that I thought I was going to be able to do previously, and frankly, I was worried about the connection. So now we've got the connection issues sorted out. Super jazzed to be here. Lewis is giving a shout out to Pumpernickel Games on Etsy in terms of the terrain there. It is great stuff. I believe this is the terrain organizer or the terrain creator that Lewis uses for all of his boards. All right, a good number of dwarves dying already. My green skin bias has shown it shining through. looking like it's going to be a victory for the Orcs here. There are some attacks coming back with great weapons, which could be an issue. Doesn't look like actually that many Rangers died. Some real whiffing on the rolls there by the looks of things. Surprised to see symmetrical terrain. Yeah, so Lewis has got 4 tables. The top 4 tables are using the square-based terrain picking system, TPS. Oh, here we go. Lots of attacks back. Lots of 6s so far. This is a really good swing by the Orcs. This could change the combat into the ball boys pretty significantly. Getting some rerolls there for a reason that I'm not 100% sure, but I trust the players. Let's see how these wounds come in. These are going to be wounding on 3s. Oh, that is a good roll. That is pretty punishing. We're going to see a lot of dead Orcs here, and actually, I'm starting to worry that maybe the Orcs are going to crumple, which is not what you want to see, especially when you're leaning on Frenzy. Losing that Frenzy early would be bad. So these are... Ah, looks like they weren't using great weapons. Let me just double check. They did have great weapons in the list, didn't they? They do have great weapons. Interesting that he elected not to use them. I guess he wanted to go for the hand weapon shield for the better save, which is why so few models died. Hatred, Orcs and Goblins. Thank you, Peter. I will say, despite it being a classic matchup, it's not one that I play all that often. Both of them are, well, Dwarves are a little bit of a lower tier army. Although one of the fun ones. I'm really looking forward to starting them next year. I'm thinking about doing a slow grow league through the channel, well, through the Discord, and then also a slow grow league in Nottingham where I'm based. So it'll be more of a hobby thing for people to take part on if they want to join in. January, start 500 points in January, move on through 4 months, and by the end of those 4 months have a playable 2,000 point army. But yeah, I'm thinking of doing Dwarves, otherwise it's an army that I probably won't get to. Thank you, Vesper. Appreciate the kind words. OGCC says, Dwarves are, in my opinion, one of the factions that have benefited the most from the 1.5 match play guide. What do I think? I agree. I think they are in a solid spot. They still struggle in terms of the lack of mobility, but I feel like Dwarves were a lot more drawish before, but the match play guide especially is a really, really big change. Here we go. Okay, so that combat did come in the Orcs' favor. And not a single Orc died there by the looks of things. They're giving ground, though, which is really bad for the Orc player. Not going to be getting those extra attacks from Frenzy, not going to be getting those extra attacks from Furious Charge. This is a combat that the Dwarf player might decide to go into using their great weapons, which could be incredibly punishing. Slow Grow Discord, will you let your subscribers pick your army? I could do, but I really do want to do a Dwarf army. And you just pick rats, and I've got Skaven already. Amy says, can I slow grow an Arachnarock? You could. I don't know that you need any more Orcs and Goblins, nor do you need any more Arachnarocks, but that would be 500 points. So you could just, I guess you'd have to do it as your fourth section, because you can't fit it in at under 2,000 points. Yes, a slow grow league. I'm just about to fail in one, so should absolutely join another. Amazing. If you need me to give you, Hamsfan is one of my coaching students. If you need me to give you motivation about painting as well as playing, we can talk about that in our next session. Takes me back to the 80s. We did a 48-hour charity war fantasy at boarding school. Chaos versus good, so dwarves, elves, etc. versus all the orcs, demons was a lot of fun. Yeah, that sounds great. Those are the classic stories that I think a lot of people, have and think fondly on in terms of why we play this game. It's not the most balanced game, but it's such a fun game to play. It's a really, it's a fun game with a lot of flavor, with a tight enough generally rule set that you can play it and have fun. And I think it's just there's a reason so many people come back to it. Part of that reason is the stranglehold that Games Workshop has in the community. But, aside from that, what has Games Workshop ever done for us? How about you do Chaos Dwarves and Green Skins in one army, best in both worlds? You know what? That's not a bad shout. I do like the Chaos Dwarves models. I was thinking about using the new Chaos Dwarf models for a Dwarf army, and then I realized, why would I do that? They're way more expensive, and I like the Dwarf models anyway. Hi, Steve from the USA. Good to have you. I guess it is getting into reasonable time for anyone outside of Europe to be awake. All right, this is I think I am actually starting to worry about the big brick of ball boys in the top left corner there. Things could be going very poorly. They are not going to get very many attacks. The dwarf player is going to be getting you know, a pretty reasonable amount of great weapon attacks back. This is looking like a very scary combat. Use UK resin print instead. Just as a heads up, no one is allowed to plug in chat. Tom gets an exception because, you know, because I need to move my microphone for this. Oh, thank you so much, Dave. That's really generous. Amazing. See if it's going to read out. God damn it. I did set it to read out. I've got it. I'll check that in a second. But anyway, thank you so much. Buy yourself and Ginger Steve a pint. Love this premise. Can't wait to play Old World. Amazing. Yeah, no, it's great. It's a lot of fun. And actually getting to sit here and be part of a tournament while not also being so locked in and having to think really deeply about my game is quite a pleasure as well. Just finished work, about to paint some Necromunda. This stream is a pleasant surprise. Hell yeah. Good to have you, Samuel. Nice to be the background stream. I think that is... I said this to a couple of people who mentioned that they watch my stuff. I was like, oh, thank you so much for having my stream on the second monitor. Like, no, I actively listen. I was like, oh. I feel like Warhammer is such a good second stream... Or second screen, sorry. Second screen content piece. So painting while listening is something that I would absolutely be doing myself. Interesting that it's the chat box really doesn't like long names. I guess I'll have to look at adapting, you know, changing that up. Let's go full screen so we can see a little bit more clearly while we're not rolling any dice. We're checking some lines for cannons at the moment, which is potentially worrying. Do we see any super worrying lines here for the cannons? There's one that can potentially go down through the chariot and then the boar boys. That could be pretty rough. Okay, Iron Drakes. Let's go back to the dice cam. Looking like those Iron Drakes are going to be turning a chariot into mush. One of my favorite things about Dwarves, I think, are Iron Drakes. They're an incredible little unit. Super chats. There we go. Apologies, I have managed to now get the alert box settings fixed. My favorite Welsh man can actually have everything going. What is going on with my mouse? Oh, it's full of hair. Oh, it's really full of hair. Oh, that's terrible. I bought this second hand. That is honestly incredibly grotty. No, it can't have broken. Thank you, Hamspan. Thank you so much. So you can get some custard creams in. I could go for some custard creams, actually. I'm more of a bourbon guy. But like a custard cream and a bourbon together as a sandwich, pretty solid. Sean says 9 a.m. Central Time here in the USA. I had stuff to do, but now I guess I'm forced to watch the stream and try and learn a little. Amazing. Good to have you, Sean. The local meta is 5 people, and 2 of them are under 12. Wow. Getting that next generation playing. Amazing. Today, Ed realized rats are hairy. Oh, you mean mice. Very good. Very good. Nice. Good man, David. Don't hide from them for too long, so where they come to find you. Maybe it might have to be bursts of little and often. That might be it. You feel lost having nothing to paint. Yeah, that's understandable. Steve submitted his list for the pilgrimage in Cherry Hill, New Jersey next weekend. The only one playing Chaos out of 32 players. Nice. Always good to be the only one there. People are less likely to be prepared for you. Yeah, hairy mouses. That's exactly how I feel about it. I flipped it over and it was full. One hit at AP2. Ah, yes, that's the aforementioned cannonball. Doing not too much damage to that rank of boar boys. That could have got a lot worse there for sure. Loving Old World, best game out there. It's definitely, I think, the most fun and flavorful, especially out of the current roster of Games Workshop games. I'm being mocked from off camera, but that's fine. I'm usually being mocked on camera as well. You've hidden in the office. the doors can only hold them for so long. I'm picturing the scene in Lord of the Rings where they're in Balin's tomb. Yeah, ball mice did get nasty. That's true. That is true. Thank you very much, Sean. Appreciate that. Good to have you. Please do post in Discord in the Need to Roll channel, and I will apply your role in Discord. You'll be able to come into the VIP channel where I get mocked. Your mother smells of elderberries. What happened to the second copter on the charge? I think it didn't. I rolled low and didn't get in. I did miss that one, though, because obviously the ball boy's not standing and shooting. Love the new battle report video setup you have here. Thank you very much. It was, you know what, this is a great time to say a huge thank you to Ian and Natalie. Natalie, who, Ian is one of the Saffron Slammers, who is not here today, too busy being on holiday. But Natalie, his wife, made a very generous contribution, which means that I can be here streaming games, which is amazing. It was one of those where they asked how much I needed, gave me a very generous donation, and what has happened in the 3 or 4 days since then is I've gone, I need to get this and this and this, including my my trip out to I keep wanting to say Coventry. Not Coventry. What's the one that's near me? Cambridge. My trip to Cambridge, where I had to go and pick up a new capture card. All right, what is happening here? The Ironbreakers are still alive after the ball charge. Those are Rangers. Yeah, the Rangers tanked it because they got that hand weapon shield and decent weapon skill. They were hit on 4s. They were being wounded on 2s, but they were still getting a 5-up armor save. So really not a lot happening in that charge. Maybe I'd like to see those ball boys go a little bit wider so they've got some more oomph. Rangers for days. Hell yeah. Good to see you, Richie. Hope you're doing well. Tech issues are indeed sorted. Yeah, Rangers with no characters in, they were forward deployed. Okay, looks like we're getting some attacks back. This is, I believe, the big combat, the very important combat that we're getting between the Copter, the Rangers, and the Boars. Thank you, Christian. Appreciate the support. Again, make sure you post in the Needs Roll channel on Discord, and I'll apply rolls when I get a chance, probably between games. All right, looking like this is the BSB, so a couple of hits there. Not great. A single wound with no AP. Massively, just heard Peter say they're massively worse in the second round. That is definitely accurate. You really have to break what you're going into with heavy cavalry, or get them, falling back in good order at the very least. If you don't do that, things have gone very wrong, and you're going to struggle to get all that much done. Now, we have got a lot of ball boy attacks back, so these are going to be just rolled at the same time as the boars, which is why there are so many dice. They're all going to be hitting on 4s and wounding on 5s, which is pretty underwhelming, I will say. Oh, not a single wound. That is rough. This is looking to me like it might be a dwarf combat victory. Not saying the game, but the combat's definitely going the way of the dwarves. And again, when you've got Frenzy, you really do not want to be losing those combats. Ouch indeed. I think I might need to get a straw because I want to stop touching this microphone. What I will say, running like you did last weekend, yeah, the problem is it's very hard to roll well in that second round of combat. Who has the advantage so far in this game? I was expecting more damage from War Machines. The turn 1 from the Dwarf player was very punishing. What we saw was the unit of Iron Drakes picking up a number of the frenzied Dwarves in the front. The stand and shoot not doing all that much into the unit of big ball boys that are still stuck in combat, but a lot of stuff was picked up. A lot of the heavy hitters, basically, for the Nomadic Waaagh have been pretty heavily nullified. So one unit is, I think, entirely dead. One unit is very nearly dead, or at least taken some heavy casualties down here. Not that heavy casualties, I guess. There's still 7 of them left. And then this unit in the top left has lost their frenzy, or they're going to lose their frenzy if they haven't already, because it looks like they're definitely losing combat here. They're going to be losing the combat. They're probably going to be falling back in good order, at the very least. They've got a Wyvern nearby, so I'm assuming that's the general. So good leadership. But I think this is going to be... This is pretty poor for the Orcs and Goblin players. tallying up the combat res here. What are we looking at? Let's go big screen so we can see a little bit better. I am noticing that the camera is getting further and further down. I really am going to have to grab those sticky labels. I'll do it after the game, between the streams. What's the scoring like for this scenario? What an excellent question. Now, I think it is just the fairly regular mission for round 2, but let's have a look in the pack. We've got Search of Destroy with Martial Pride and Scorched Earth. Martial Pride, as the twist, I believe, is a secondary objective. I've done it again. This is the second time I've done it. He on his website, the 40k teams event that was very recently is still up there. That was last weekend. So we'll go into the actual pack. You can tell that I'm terrible with the names of remembering things. I remember things by what they do and the shapes of them. But yes, here we go. So round 2, we're looking at strategic locations 3. You can see them nicely across the board here. One by the building in the bottom right, one in the center, and then one in the top left. I believe just below that building. Other than that, we've got scenario scoring, which is baggage train, but also I think you can move your baggage train because it is something that you control. I'm not sure that there's any actual baggage train moving going on in this game so far, but it's moderate on the secondary scoring, so it's going to be a lot of kill points, that's for sure. Thank you very much, Steve. Why is this not coming up on stream? I specifically turned it on. It has been one thing after another with this. Let me see if there's any way to replay. I don't think there's any way for me to replay it on here, which I do apologize for. Let me just go into YouTube Studios and see if it'll let me put it on the... Okay, so Steve says, talking about the Pilgrimage GT again, worried about the list, having tons of shooting, just hope I can get all my Chaos Army in combat before they all die. Yeah, that's what we're seeing in this round. This is the... those Orcs and Goblins did flee, looking to me, if they are turned back... Yeah, it was a full back in good order, so not too punishing. They do get out there, and an overrun from the copter into the front of what I believe is... Is that a Wyvern? Oh, no, it's the Giant. The Giant has made it into combat. Amazing. Most professional streamer moment. Doing what I can. Doing what I can. Real Life International's on. Hopefully Cash next round live. No worries. Good to see you. Good to have you here, Dave. Enjoy the rest of your day if I don't see you. Yeah, so that Giant should, hopefully, do a number on that copter. But that's the problem with the Giant, or one of the many, many problems that I have with the Giant. Not great in terms of if you roll the wrong thing on the table. I believe you are allowed to make your normal attacks with just a hand weapon. I'm wondering if that's genuinely better. Although the full plate on those copters means it's probably not, right? Probably not. But yeah, that unit has lost its frenzy, which is a real bummer. I'm assuming the Angry Flag doesn't give you frenzy that just lasts forever. Let me just double check that one. I've just punched the microphone. Apologies for that all. Angry Lad's flag. Nope, it's just frenzy. Frenzy's normal. Giant get smashing. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So looking like a lot of charges being lined up here. This is coming into Peter's second. Peter's second turn. More has survived than I thought it might, honestly. So while I thought the Dwarves had the advantage, I'm thinking that maybe it's not too shabby here. Given that the Wyvern's going to be able to get in, a Wyvern is something that Dwarf players really do not like having to face off against. So depending on how much we manage to get in there, could be solid. I'm a little worried for the Chariot that's going to be taking the stand and shoot from the Iron Drakes. That is for sure. I will say this is a pretty cracking cup of tea. Thanks to Lewis. I assume he's not watching the stream. He's got better things to do, like run an event. But yeah, I'm very pleased with it. I'm also hoping. So the little bit of interesting setup. My camera, I've got a really lovely camera up there, courtesy of Ginger Steve. Thank you, Steve. He won't be watching because he's here. But that camera, the display turns off when you've got it plugged into a capture card. So I'm pretty sure that the charging is working, but I have no way of checking without turning the stream picture off. So I'm not going to do that, funnily enough. Not going to do that. I'm wondering if that unit of ball boys is looking to charge into the ranges again. If they can get in alongside the Wyvern, that would work out pretty nicely. I'm not 100% sure what it is that the is next to the giant there. Obviously, there's the copter, but there's another base as well. Is that a cart? I don't think there's a cart in the list. No dwarf cart. It's a mystery to me. It is a mystery. I wish the normal giant had tables more like the Bone Grinder. Yeah, or the Hag Queen. It is Hag Queen, isn't it? Yeah. Troll Hag. There we go. Troll Hag, Hag Queen. If they had tables like the Troll Hag, that would be pretty damn solid. Square bases, no terrain, my eyes, my beautiful eyes. What, you mean you're finally looking at a good piece of, a good delicious board that looks amazing with really nice models on instead of some prefab cardboard L's? How dare you come here and slander the appearance of a square-based game? You know, if we were to have a debate about which game is better, obviously it's Old World, but, you know, you could maybe entertain the thought that 40K has some aspects that are, you know, better. You cannot tell me that the layout and the appearance of this game is worse than Old World. This game is beautiful, and we've really fortunately got two absolutely stunning armies on the tabletop as well. Troll Hag, Queen Troll. It's a shoe on head moment for sure. Shoe on head moment for sure. All right, while they're doing the movement, let me walk you through the issues that I've had today. So, packed up, Ginger Steve on his way past, also picking up Nick, who is playing here rounds 1, 3, and 5, his commission painter. Picked up Nick, and he said, would you like a lift? I was like, fantastic, I would love a lift, that'd be amazing. Saves me having to pay 100 odd quid to lug everything down by hand. I, you know, pre-sent a lot of the stuff to Lewis's, so I didn't have to lug, you know, the lights, etc. But I still had, you know, three bags and a monitor as well. So there was a lot to get through. He turns up in a sports car. It does have back seats, but they're very small. And if you were to sit in the back seats, your neck would be cricked like this. Ask me how I know. I know because I was sat in the back seat. Don't get me wrong. Appreciate the lift. But, you know, immediately the weekend starts off with, okay, I'm crammed in with all my stuff in the back seat because the boot is too small for my computer. And we get there. We get here, no problems. I unpack. One of the things I realized that I didn't have with me was my power cable for my PC. Doing very, very well. But, again, fortunately, there is a power cable available. Lewis is able to provide me with one, so I need to make sure I don't pack that up and take it home with me. But I won't be going home till Monday, so that should be nice and easy to do. So that, you know, resolved. We then realized that I'm unable to get my camera plugged in correctly. I have a capture card at home. I have a capture card here to borrow, but it's not working. And that leads to a cumulative, I guess, like 3 or 4 hours of just trying to make things work. Up until 9 a.m. this morning when I throw in the towel and go, this isn't working. None of the other options I have are working. I'm just going to have to go to Cambridge. Now, I'm in Saffron Walden. I did walk into Saffron Walden, which is about a 25-minute walk. Nice weather, so, you know, not too bad to do. Walk into Saffron Walden, check all the shops, all 3 of the shops that might have something, nothing there. Get an Uber to the train station, because Saffron Walden is so small it doesn't have its own train station. Get to the train station, get a train to Cambridge. They only come every, like, 30 minutes. I've missed one by 5 minutes, so I'm sat there for 25 minutes. Get to Cambridge. At this point, I'm not feeling positive about how things are going. So, yeah, it's not ideal, I would say, at this point. However, they have electric bikes in Cambridge, and I do love a good cycle around on an electric bike. So mood immediately improves, which is fantastic. Get the bike, cycle over to CEX. I have previously checked, is there, you know, anything that I'm going to be able to use? They've got the Razer branded capture card for 30 odd quid. Amazing. Love it. Cool. Pick that up, cycle back, get the train back, get an Uber back, and now we're here, and it's working. But it has been a little bit of a nightmare. Sorry, it was moving stuff around. How would your neck be cricked in the car? Oh, it's because it's a sports car. The roof is not very high in the back. It's not designed for adults. So there were 3 of us in the car. Tell you what, on the trip down, the trip was pretty great. We were blasting Disney tunes, and Steve's daughter has Spotify, uses his Spotify, much to his displeasure, because he has a family plan, so they could all just use their own accounts. But she could see that we were listening to music, so she interrupted it, to which Steve then rang her and was like, can you not? And she just absolutely lost it, because it was like, yeah, we're 3 grown men listening to Disney songs in the car, singing along, which we were doing, and it was a great time. So yeah, we went through all of the Disney classics, Hakuna Matata, all of the other ones. I can't sing them on stream. I'll get demonetized with my beautiful singing voice. But yeah, it's been interesting. Is there any comp of this event? Not really, I don't think. If you want to have a look at the event pack, you can go to elmominiatures.com or just Google Saffron Slam, and it's there. There's an event pack, but I don't believe there's any comp there. Is Ginger Steve playing on your stream table? No, he said he didn't think he was a good person to have on stream because he'd swear a lot and wander off, which that's an accurate representation. Good luck finding anything vaguely useful computer related in Saffron Walden. Yeah, I had 4 people look at me with real pity when I told them why I needed something, and they're all like, "I'm sorry. Have you tried this other shop?" And they're like, I've tried all the shops. There's like 2 mobile repair shops, and then there's also I went into Toy Master, the PC game, not PC game, the tabletop game shop. They've got some Xbox games. I was like, maybe there'll be one here for anyone who wants to stream from their Xbox, but no. Glad to got it sorted. Great to watch a game like this. Yeah, this is great. This is way above expectations for how I thought things would go. You wanted to see the crick, not hear why. Well, sucks to suck, buddy. Hell yeah. All right, let's get back to the game. So we've got some good charges here. Wyvern getting in up at the top. This is a fight that I'm pretty happy to see the Wyvern in. I don't know, because I haven't got players mic'd up for this game. I'm hoping to get them mic'd up for next game if I can manage it. But the Wyvern in combat, I'm hoping that the unit champion in those ranges is already dead. We will see, because there is a unit champion in the list. Yeah, so hopefully that's dead. Otherwise, that Wyvern's going to be in for a pretty poor time. Other than that, the Boar Boys getting into combat with something. Again, I just could not tell you what it is. Oh, you know what? The answer is, someone asked previously what happened to the second copter. It's still there. He's just taken it off the base because they don't fit together, because Games Workshop models often overlap bases. There we go. Answer resolved. Very, very nice. Perfect. You didn't go door-to-door looking for computer parts, but you also gave them a pity story to make them feel bad. True 40k player. I went to shops, and I said, they looked at me funny, and I was like, oh, I'm trying to stream. I need a capture card. I mostly brought it up, partially because, I mean, you've watched me do stuff. I'm a talkable guy. But also, if I gave context of what it was, they might go, oh, that's what you mean. And I was hoping that would help. They were all lovely about it. Toy Master is Saffron Walden in the 1995. You know what? Yes, I think so. But also that Toy Master is lovely. Lewis's events give vouchers to the Toy Master. And they don't have an online place to use those vouchers. They just take the vouchers in person. But they were very accommodating when I emailed them. And I was like, hey, sorry, didn't realize that I had to be here. I live 2 hours away. Can I please video myself destroying the voucher? Will that be do as proof? They were very accommodating, which was nice. But yeah, looking good here for the Orcs and Goblins player. Has weathered the shooting a little bit and actually managed to get into combat. The stand and shoot not doing anywhere near as much as I worried about. We're seeing some good shooting. So let's go to the dice camera here, because I'm hearing dice being rolled. These are one at a time, looking like saves there. Big combat in the middle of the board, starting to lose some of those Iron Drakes. Toymaster is a great, friendly, local independent. Yeah, I've only had good experiences there. They are really nice. Good number of attacks here. This must be... It looks like the remains of the one of the Frenzied Boar Boys units. I think there's only 3 models left, but that is a lot of attacks coming in. Not super high strength or AP, but it is enough to take down another couple of those. Oh, more than a couple. 4. The Boar Boy's doing really hefty work there. Very, very good, correct placement of the moving the unit of Iron Drakes there as well. Appreciate that from Tom. People, when it's in one rank, often just take them off one side, and then you end up with weird overruns, given that you go center to center. But taking them from both sides correctly, good stuff there. It's almost like he knows it's on stream. That was a banging tea. The most British thing to ever be said. Oh, a banging tea. All right. Really solid stuff here. So the last of the Iron Drakes do break from combat. Looks like it was a fallback in good order. Dwarves just very, very reliable. It's quite hard to actually break them. But we're looking at some overruns here from the Orc player. It looks to me like that was measured as under 3 inches for the Furious Charge and the impact hit. So this could be a combat that goes pretty wrong for Peter here. We'll have to see how it goes on the Dwarf player's turn. But actually getting in there first, getting the charge bonus with those Lancers, or Cavalry Spears, I should say. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Now, I'm living to see how well this Wyvern does, because as someone pointed out in chat, I saw it earlier. I did see it earlier. Something about the Wyvern with the strikes first attack definitely killing unit champions. Sudoku. Sudoka, sorry. Love the commentary. Hoping we might see this more in Old World. Hell yeah. This is great. It is a lot of effort to set up and do. People have been very generous so far, so huge thank you for everyone who has donated up until this point and subscribed. Really appreciate it. It's one of those where I don't think in terms of like the time put in, it's worth it for me to do in terms of like this is not going to be like a particularly big moneymaker. But it's this, you do some things for money, you do some things for passion, and this is incredible. I'm having a great time being able to sit here and bring you streamed games of Warhammer. First actual game of in-person Warhammer on the channel. Lewis and I did play one and record it, but I didn't actually manage to get it edited to a standard I was happy with. Tell you what, I'm just going to double check that the super chat button is working, because I think I fixed it on the back end, but I want to make sure it is. Are you going to talk?
This is a test super chat message.
Oh, wow. I think I might have 2 alert boxes. So I've got one here. No. Did you get an echo on that test super chat message, or was it just me? Because if it's just me, that's okay, but if it's you guys as well, I'd like to fix that. I want to do this more myself for tournaments where I want to go, but not necessarily play full out. Yeah, that's super fair. Yeah, go Kevin. Yeah, Kevin's my my #1 supporter. Big fan of Kevin. Okay, you did get the echo. Okie dokie. Let's see if I can resolve that. I think I've just got one alert box, so I don't know why it would echo. I'll keep having a look at it. Double voice. Steve says I heard it. What the fuck? The way that that's phrased, it almost makes it seem like you weren't on the stream and just in your head you heard Kevin's test super chat. And he came back to tell me. So thanks for that, Steve. Appreciate that. All right, looking like the Wyvern combat here. I was too locked in on fixing things. Let's see where we're up to. Oh, no, this is the Giants combat by the looks of things. I think that was probably 1 armor save. That's my best guess for what that could have been. Let me just tweak the camera while we're going. Yeah, so these were splitting the attacks. I assume 2 attacks going to the Boar Boys, 2 attacks going to the Giants. Definitely makes sense to go into the Boar Boys if you can. Only strength 4 attacks on those Copters. You're not going to get all that much done. Getting an idea of what's being rolled for would be awesome. Yeah, no, absolutely. So I do have some really good microphones here. Because of the tech issues I've had, it was basically I'm just about ready to go live with the camera for round 2. So I'm hoping for round 3 I'll be able to get the players mic'd up. You'll be able to hear them, I'll be able to hear them, and we'll be able to get some more idea of what's being rolled. So this is a 3 on the table here for the Giants. Which color dice is which team? Blue is the Greenskins. Ryan says, haven't seen the whole stream. Would be cool to see pitch the armies in the future. Yeah, absolutely. So I've only got one table camera set up, but what I'd like to do for future streams is set up multiple cameras. I think I should be able to get potentially 2. Ideally, I'd like to get 2 more cameras at sort of diagonal angles, so you can see more close-ups of the models. And also, if I can just get a camera that I can control from my PC and zoom in and let you see more specifics. I know some of the 40K streamers have rail cams, which might be a little bit out of budget for what I'm going for at the moment, but something to play around with. Could just have an active unit bright token to pop down next to what's being rolled. That's a really good idea, Chris. I'm not going to mess around. Streamlabs is sometimes my friend, sometimes my enemy. So I don't want to tweak anything here. But if I get chance, I'm gonna try and fix the microphones first. And if not, I might see if I've got time to make a little token to stick next to the combat. But it's a really good idea. Canvas overlay so the caster can draw around the stuff going on. Yeah, absolutely. Any chance we can get a few photos of the army once they're done, just to see the cool paint jobs? Curious how those look. They look incredible. Now, fortunately, Lewis is a fiend for taking photos, so he will be putting them on his Instagram, which I believe is still called Elmo Miniatures. He normally does a little collage of each round, but if you ping him on Discord, I'm sure he'd be super happy to get more photos of the event out there. He normally takes them and posts them in various groups. So it would be, I'm sure they will be popping up and around. Draw arrows on popular moves, actions, etc. Yeah, so I've got an app that I really like called, I think it's called AnyPen. I haven't got it downloaded on this computer. But I can't draw on this screen, so definitely there's a lot of things that I want to bring in going forwards. Ooh, okay, so the copters fled, and we've got an overrun just in front of the Iron Drakes there. This is really nice. So this is not necessarily going to matter massively, given that it's the Dwarf player's turn next. However, ooh, does the Giant get in? Oh, just using a base to make sure there's space. Fantastic. Hey, Lewis is in chat. There's so many people watching. This is like a dream come true as a TO. Yeah, absolutely. Have you got people are wanting to see pictures of the armies? If you've got any pictures that you can wang in the Discord, that would be absolutely amazing, buddy. I will say, this has picked up significantly more than I thought it might do. We're sat at almost 100 viewers, which is incredible. Thank you so much, everyone who is here. I was thinking that it's a Saturday. People often have things going on. There's a few tournaments going on as well. Maybe we'd sit at 40 or so, and I'd have been super jazzed with 40. So seeing so many people here, really appreciate it. All right, I think we might be into the Wyvern combat here. That, to me, looks like it was the Poison Sting. Steck says like and subscribe. Yeah, I should do the YouTube thing while we're waiting for some more dice to be rolled. If you haven't already, please do like. Thumbs up the video helps get picked up by the algorithm, which we're not really struggling with, but it's always nice to have more people here. If you haven't already, join the Discord. There is a great Discord, loads of people. Ah, here we go. This is the orc with the, not biting blade, the big one. That was 3 wounds at AP3. I think that was the 666. It looked to me like it was only... Oh, no. A couple of wounds going through there. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. So, no challenge in this combat. I think the unit champion must have died earlier in the fight. A couple of saves there from the Wyvern's Talons as well. Looking to me like 4 dwarves dead in total, I think, from the Wyvern there, if my maths are correct. We're not really struggling, Humble Flex. I honestly can't remember saying that, Tommy. What was the context? I may have been thinking about something else and just letting my mouth run on autopilot, which I do sometimes when I'm trying to get pieces done. Army showcase photos are definitely a favorite for me. Yeah, absolutely. People love seeing some good armies. Looking like some great weapon attacks back here, or... Oh, no, more. This must have been the stomps. Wow. Pretty hefty stomp attacks there from a Wyvern. Only D3 stomps? At least I'm assuming that's what it is, because there are a lot of models dead from this. Oh, I guess it could have been the Giant as well, actually. Oh, YouTube presence algorithm. Yes, no, I did say that. It wasn't meant to come across that way, but I definitely did. All right, looking like some attacks back into the Giant. A much better target to go for, because you're only going to be, you're going to be hitting on 3s instead of hitting on 4s. I think... Saved on the 6-up save. I think that's the first time I've seen a Giant pass an armor save, so huge there from the Giant. Looking like a really solid combat. This unit's going to get run down, and I think given the overrun... Now, the Giant that's in the combat there isn't going to be able to overrun again. Obviously, it's made contact this turn, but the Wyvern itself will be able to run. I think there is a good chance it's just going to go straight into those gyrocopters and kill them, which would be very, very nice. We'll leave it kind of a little bit swinging in the wind, but honestly, a lot of the shooting has been tied up now, so looking very solid for the Nomadic Waaagh. If only the players were mixed up, we'll never know whose stumps they were. True. If you had a headbutting out, would it be the Orc strength or the Wyvern strength? It'd be the Orc strength, Niccolo. The reason for that is the actual character is the one that's wearing the magic items. Looks like a break test, I think. A 7 on the dice there. I think this is going to be a fullback in good order. Not double outnumbered here. No, I think it's looking to me like not double outnumbered, so I think they should be okay. The Wyvern has declared Swift Stride on the chase. The Dwarves are running 10 inches, which is really impressive given that they are, -1 on a flea move. It would be the Orc strength, but can you imagine a Wyvern with a hat, the modeling potential? Give him a little helicopter hat. That would be pretty cool. Looks like the Wyvern not going to overrun into the copters. They're just going to go straight forwards. Looks like it was a real honest-to-goodness flee for the Dwarves there. So given that they get a turn to rally, they're not in too much danger, but they definitely aren't too long for this world. It is going to take the Wyvern a little bit longer to clear them up, though. That's for sure. Tell you what, I don't know that Lewis was actually listening to the stream. Oh. He has sent me, or he sent a load of pictures to a different group chat. Never mind. They all have his middle finger in because it's the Dragon Hate group chat that Rob started a year or so ago. Got pics of these armies, bud. What I'm going to try and do, see if I can get some pictures for the to put in the overlay. That would be good. So if I just go into stew mode here. Lewis has just stood watching the game, and I've just heard him say, "That's turn 2." It's the most northern he's ever sounded, which is impressive, given that he's not northern. All right, yes, a lot of violence on this stream. What a great game to start with. There is so much death and destruction happening. Hold on, let me get his attention. Lewis! I don't want to shout because I've got the microphone next to my mouth, and the microphone is pretty sensitive. Specialist sports broadcasting microphone on loan from Rob, so thank you to him for that. Tell you what, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to mute and then I'll shout. I've mimed a phone, but he's walking over. Have you got any photos of those armies? Or have you been walking around and taking photos of anyone?
None of these specifically, I don't think.
If you could get some glamour shots, that would be amazing. Thank you, bud. It's good to have a man on the ground. Hey, you are here. Thanks, Rob. I was just shouting you out for the loan of these incredible headsets, which I have been taking good care of. Of course, everything is attached to the sticks, also lent to me. Yeah, it only took about 7 hours of setup to get here. I'll fill you in when I see you, bud. But it's been an interesting first stream setup for sure. Sadly, I have reached the end of my delicious aloe vera. I'm a big fan of wasabi, but there isn't a wasabi in Nottingham, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, just a chain of sushi takeaway restaurant-y things. We have other sushi in Nottingham, but wasabi is my favorite. Thank you so much. We've got some pictures, should be loading up in the soon. I can see that it says media files, but it doesn't actually load them. We'll get there in a second. The internet has decided that now is a great time to go as slow as possible. Moving into Dwarves turn 3. Aloe vera, isn't that something that would else use as shampoo? It might be. But it's a nice, refreshing drink. Has little balls in it as well. All right, it might be a moment for these pictures to load. The internet is taking a little while. Oh wow, those are even more gorgeous than I thought. Even more gorgeous. Yeah. So we're seeing some dwarf maneuvering here in turn 3. Looks like a successful rally for the dwarf player there, as you might expect. Dwarves famous for their good leadership, and fortunately they weren't below 25%. So all good there. Let's have a quick look at these pictures. Look at that. Some really nice orcs on boars. I feel like the picture's not even doing them justice. Let me zoom in a little bit. Look at the detail on those. What a beautiful army. Hopefully some pictures of the dwarves as well, because they are both pretty snazzy. A fairly terrifying shot. What I hadn't realized when I did some quick pictures is I hadn't realized how nice the OSL is. Actually seeing them here by someone who takes pictures, or paints models professionally, so knows how to take good pictures. Looking at that, that is very nice. Also incredibly terrifying. I don't think you really appreciate from the top-down view how scary it is to be the dwarf player in this situation when you've got just, you know, each boar boy weighs the same as a small car. That much muscle hurtling towards you. Fairly terrifying. I really do like those dwarves as well. As you can see here, the last of the Iron Drakes and a couple of characters in the back lines there before rallying. Out of interest, you get many first-time tournament players at Saffron Slam. Yeah, I think so. It's not a stat that I could tell you off the top of my head, but I'm assuming outside of teams, there's probably quite a few, maybe 2 or 3 at every tournament, and they've got, you know, attendance caps at about 24. So I would assume that there is, you know, probably 1 or 2 first-time tournament attendees minimum at each event. Oh, look. It's me. Looking very focused with my my Amazon ring light there. Late 90s Taco Bell dwarves. Oh, in the colors. You know, I had Taco Bell for the first time a couple of months ago. I was very underwhelmed. Americans really hype it up. There's a lot of mystique around Taco Bell, and we've got them in the UK now, and I was not impressed. Stack says, I feel like the dwarves know how scary the wyvern is. It causes terror. No, you see, that's the thing. They have the rune of courage, and they're immune to both terror and fear. So they're pretty unaware of how scary it is, actually, which is, you know, fair. Rickus A from South Africa. Amazing. Good stream to watch while painting. Good to have you. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think Warhammer is a great second monitor content while you're doing some of the bits. Very focused, definitely not out of focus. Yeah. Just there. Some sort of cryptid. All right, let's go back. It looks like we're actually getting into the game proper again. So, round 3 here for the Dwarf player. Very limited options, I'm finding it. Steck says it's not because it's good. We like Taco Bell because it's bad. Okay, fair enough. Who am I to argue? You know, I had McDonald's on the way down on Friday. Cool shields on those dwarves, yeah, really nice. I think they're the Highland miniature ones, but I know by saying that, if I'm wrong, someone will immediately correct me, which is incredible. I found Taco Bell cheap, and that's the best thing about it. You know what? That's valid. I appreciate that. It's not taco, it's taco. That's fair. I will not stop saying it the way that I say it, because here in the UK, or at least in my part of the world, we say taco like taco as opposed to taco. We're pretty far removed from Mexico, so we're probably wrong on that one, but... Stack wears McDonald's as a hat, apparently. It's an interesting choice. Alrighty then. I'm thinking, getting back into the game, let's have the camera on here. I can hear some dice shaking in hand, so we're going to be seeing some shots coming soon, I'm sure. It looks to me like we might be getting a cannonball shot through the giant, which is not a massively appealing shot, to be honest, although there are 2 of them in that neck of the woods. Speaking of woods, there's a wood between the giant and the 3rd cannon. Okay, so this is the Rangers. Rangers shooting into the giant here. They did rally. Oh, right. No wounds there. Probably say burrito instead of burrito. No, it's burrito. Definitely burrito. Hey, Ian. It is going well. How are those fellow slammers going? Yeah, it's a bloodbath. This is the bottom of turn 3, and a lot has died already. While you're here, it's a great opportunity to say thank you again to Ian, who Ian and his wife very generously donated to get this stream up and running. I had some issues getting Game 1 up, but a quick trip to Cambridge later, and here I am for Game 2. We should have 4 streamed games over the course of the weekend. All right, we've got some interesting combats going on here. So the big unit of Longbeards, the main thing left for the Dwarf player, Tom has just pointed to it and said he's got a great weapon and he declares a challenge. So I think that must be the king. We have got the initiative bonus here for the Boar Boys that overran, but not very many attacks. Only 2 from the unit champion. Looks like a wound. No, it won't be a wound there on a 4, I don't believe. So I think... Oh. I guess it was a wound. Passed on the ward save, though. Oh, that wasn't the king. That was just a regular unit champion. So he's accepted the challenge with his Longbeard unit champion, and he's decided to use a great weapon. That is a Chad move. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Ian. I love how the chat has devolved into purely talk about tacos. That's the only thing that's going on there now. No, now you want tacos. Well, there we go. This is the Boar's attack, I believe. And this should just be the rest of the attacks into the unit. Okay, a single wound. A single wound from the Orcs. But passed on the ward save. They have got the Banner of Grungni in that unit, so a 5-up ward save there. This is not going well, funnily enough, for those 3 Boar Boys. This is a combat I expected them to lose. We'll see how the attacks go. I'm not sure if I can turn off autofocus on that camera. Maybe that's something that I can look into, because the hands are causing some issues with the dice focusing, which I don't believe it was causing issues before, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention. Yeah, great weapon is not called a good weapon. That's very true. Great weapons just being the best weapon to take at all times is, it truly is a fantasy classic, isn't it? fine crown of hair. Myself? Or probably someone leaning over in the camera. I assume. This was a very front-loaded game. There was a lot of action happening right at the start. Lewis is, I think that's Tom actually leaning over, taking some glamour shots there. Slow rolling out the bits of combat that definitely matter, but you know, they're less. We know what's happening. I'm not actually sure which combat this is. I can tell you that both of them were saved, which is terrible because I was hoping that a wound would be taken, so I could see where the wound markers were being put. That would help nicely. That would help nicely. Oh, I've just my brain is caught up with my eyes. How are you doing, Dave? Hope you're doing well. It says it's live. It kind of looks live. Do we have live tournament streams for the old world? You absolutely do. I'm not going to claim that this is the first one. I'm sure someone's done it before. No, loads of people have done it before. We've had at least 3 or 4 other streams of tournaments. But this is the first one that's been done on this channel. It's the first live games, or first like actual in-person games that are being played on the channel. So really, really jazzed to have this. Here we go. This is the combat between the copters and the chariot in the top right there. So no wonder it was pretty ineffective. It was a lot of, lack of anything happening. Pigs are gorgeous. Yeah, the pigs are really nice. Both armies are nice, but the Nomadic Waaagh army is frankly disgustingly good. I'm not going to put the picture back up, but if you may have noticed in that blurry picture of me as a cryptid, I am actually sat in a cupboard, which is amazing. I'm so removed from the outside world. I can see the table through the door here, but I've got more space and more just sort of anonymity. It's the wrong word, but just it feels nice to be in my own little streaming corner as opposed to be surrounded by everyone else. Discord stopped pinging for live or videos. Did it really? Interesting. Since I changed it to a community, I wonder if that's done something to it, because it's only been a community for a couple of weeks. Maybe I will have to have a look into it. Such a cohesive visual for stream too. Yeah, that's true. It's especially, like, the bases really stand out on stream. Tell you what, since we didn't have it, it's a little bit of a slower period in the game. Let's have a quick look through at how things went in round 1. So, if I just go back to this page here, we had Norwich Last Standers versus Slam Bam Thank You Ma'am. And we had some grudge matches in here, the sorts of things that you might love to see. So we've got Dwarves against Beastmen, a classic grudge match, although let's be frank, and I'm sorry, I'm going in the book of the grudges for this one. Who don't Dwarves have a grudge with? You know, any of the bestial races, they definitely tend to pick up on. Then we've got Errantry Crusade into Warriors of Chaos, a 10-10 draw, and this is a Warriors of Chaos list with, I think, a good chunk of cavalry in there, so it's a knight v knight standstill. Dark Elves versus High Elves, the age-old question, which is the better elves? It turns out in this case it was definitely High Elves. And then we had Orcs and Goblins versus Warriors of Chaos as well, and a solid win for Ben with the Orcs and Goblins. So, Slam Bam, Thank You Ma'am, looking good here, and that is one of our teams that we've got on the screen. This is not, because there's only 6 teams, it's a 24-player tournament, 4-player teams. We are doing basically just a round robin, so all of the pairings are random. It's not paired into bracket. You will play against everyone at some point. Table 2, or, match 2, I should say. We had Cruel Runnings versus the Renegades of Funk, which came in as a draw. Renegades of Funk, one of my picks to do well this tournament. So we had Dark Elves versus Demons of Chaos. Small win for Demons, or a solid win, I should say. Not too shabby there. Cathay going into Dark Elves. Someone had to be thrown under the bus. Sorry, Gwillem. Mortuary Cult into Lizardmen and Orcs and Goblins into Skaven. Both small wins for the Renegades of Funk there. I didn't realize John was at this event. Obviously, the Cruel Runnings did have a couple of dropouts that they had to fill. So some absolute heroes on this side. Will and John, huge thanks to them for picking up the take up the call and coming and playing this weekend. Finally, we have Dogs of War versus Close Horse. Now, Dogs of War is the team that Peter's on, and that was a triple dragon into Nomadic Waaagh match. I can tell you from experience, very good for the dragons. Very good for the dragons. 20-0 there for Stephen. We had Cathay into High Elves, only going 14-6 for Cathay into High Elves. The High Elf player, I think, has played pretty well there. Vampire counts 13-7 into Empire, so a good win for Nick on that side. Jordan, who I was told by his captain doesn't lose games, so nice to see Nick doing well there. One of my coaching students. Congratulations, Nick. And finally, we had in round one, Nick winning 14-6 with his Vampire counts into Warriors of Chaos. Solid win there. So some good first rounds. No massive blowouts, I would say. There's definitely teams that have done, a little bit better or a little bit worse, but there was nothing like sweets of 20-0s across the board. So good to see. Slam Bam, thank you, ma'am. So far looking the best coming into the next round. Cathay doing well isn't shocking. It's not that they're doing well, it's that they didn't do as well as they could have done. Yeah, not getting 20-0s is a letdown for those Cathay lists. Ian says, the pigs are indeed gorgeous. I've had them rip my Vampire Count Renegades apart in a previous slam. The pain was tempered by hobbyist beauty. That's fair. That is fair. Oh, that seems to be one of the cameras has stopped working. This is a camera that intermittently does have issues. So let me just unplug, replug. I have stopped using it, which is why you'll have noticed that it hasn't been freezing on stream recently. But, oops, I unplugged something. It wasn't that camera. I hope it wasn't important. God, I hope it wasn't important. Is it... Which one is it? Is it this one? It looks like it might be this one. Oh, it wasn't that one. Oh, dear. Having more issues with the super chats. Apologies. Steve says, Nick Bucket, captain of Team France. And others, I would say. This is completely expected and being screenshot now. How dare you, Steck? How dare you? I have so many wires on my table that actually finding the one that is messed up is a little bit difficult. I had it in the front of the case. Okay. Whew. Come on. You can do it. I believe in you. The frozen thumbnail of me will make a great frozen image will make a great thumbnail. Yep, that's, you know what? Fair. You have got me there. Whoa. Amazing. We're back. We're so back. Miscast on stream. Oh, I missed it in all that excitement. All right. Let's go back to the camera there. My brain just caught up with what Tommy said. I thought you were saying that someone did miscast. Yes, yeah. As I say that, you correct me. Me and my stream miscast. That's fair. That is fair. Was the miscast him unplugging his mic for a second? Yeah, I was just yanking cables, to be honest. And I'll do it again. Crafty Android, thank you so much for the support. Oh, I was ahead of the game there. Looking a bit horrendous for the Dwarves now. I'm playing a big long-bladed rock, and it's too easy to ignore. Yeah, that is a problem. It has gone a little bit western here for the Dwarf player. Once you make those connects with the charges, it looks really good at the end. Like the end of round 1, I was thinking it was really sort of in the bag for Dwarves. They killed a lot of stuff. They weren't too hurt by the stand. The charges. The stand and shoot went okay, but yeah, a little bit of an issue there. It's just so hard to play Dwarves and be active with a unit, I find. First time I ever used Elise, she miscast and killed a load of peasant bowmen. I assume she didn't care as a member of the royalty. Tommy says every time you play against royal clans, you just avoid the Death Star. Not much choice. That's super fair. Man, this would be so much easier if I had in-ear microphones, so I knew what was going on. All right, 1 model dead from looks like the combat in the top there. Those Iron Drakes, Rangers have been in combat for a long time. We're at a point where we're seeing the Rangers start to finally get picked apart. I think there's only 1 model left by the looks of things. Although the save has been passed. No wounds. I'm hearing dice roll, but the other camera has frozen. So let me just unplug, replug that one. Come on. I believe in your webcam. That should have fixed it there. Who do you have for the win right now? Is looking really solid for Orcs and Goblins, which I'm sure you're pleased to see. Even if they don't get, all the amount of points that they've picked up now. So most of the characters are still alive. So it's not actually that much dead for the Dwarf player, but there's also not that much dead for the Orcs and Goblins player. We're seeing, one of the big bricks of the Boar Boys has died, but they're not that many points. Most of the characters are still alive. In fact, I think all of the characters are still alive for the Orcs and Goblins player. And on the Dwarf side, we've lost the Rangers. We've lost, I think, both of the Copters. And we've also lost most of the unit of Iron Drakes. So it depends whether the Iron Drakes and characters do manage to get caught. That's going to be a big thing for the course of the game. But it doesn't look like it's going to be a blowout. Time is running short for the Dwarves. It is. But Dwarves are very good at not giving up huge amounts of points. So I think there's a very good chance that they don't end up getting fully run off the board. While we're looking at that, I'm just going to have a quick look at how the round 2 pairings are going. What have we got here? So, Stephen Carpenter. Ginger Steve, obviously done, given that he came into Super Chat. Thank you again, Steve. Having a good time so far, rocking a 20-0 in round 1 and a 17-3 in round 2. Who'da thunk it? Triple Dragons are still pretty good, despite what I said in my video just the other day. So... Gwilym says, don't look. That's how we're keeping the stream numbers high. Every time someone finishes the game, it turns out they tune into the stream to see how things are going overall. All right, so we're in combat here. I think this is the impact hits from the Boar Chariot. Nope. It was a single wound. An absolute whiff from the Orcs side there. As soon as someone takes a wound, I'll be able to tell you exactly where they are. Which combat's this? Is this the Chariot? They should be doing better than that. This is the... Yeah, this is the pause in the center of the board. If you can see, yes, thank you so much for pointing. Yeah, so there's a combat there, Dwarves into a hero, and you think, oh, okay, Orcs Boar Boys into a hero. You think those Boar Boys, they've got a good number of attacks, did absolutely nothing. Completely whiffed. However, it's looking like the Dwarf player's not getting too far. Hatred does come in clutch there, 2 hits. How much damage is coming back? I think this is the... a single wound at AP1, hand weapon shield. Does pass in the armor save. I think this is going to come down to probably a musician, unless there's a standard bearer in there. classic Warhammer fantasy where no wounds are done and one side wins combat. But there's definitely a double outnumber. Oh, no, that's not true. The stand and shoot. Those 3 models are dead from the stand and shoot. It's the Thane with the Rune of Bursting Flame and the handgun that's in combat. Cold Ones did delete the Dragon Ogres. Amazing. That's where you got the 3 points from. So a lost combat, I believe, there for the Boar Boys. Rolling a 7. Should be in range of the general, looking at the position of the Wyverns. Kind of... maybe not, actually. It's hard to tell which one's the general. Helms fan says, triple Wyverns, though, that's what we want. Only 2 here, but I'd love to see a 3rd one. I have mentioned that I love the Nomadic Waaagh list with multiple Wyverns. In fact, I think you might be able to take pretty much unlimited Wyverns, right? Because you just have to take a load of Orc Boys. So in 2.6k, I think you can get 4 Wyverns in. I don't want to say comfortably, but I think you can get 4 Wyverns in. Just had a cry of bloody orcs from Peter there. A combat that probably should have gone well for them has gone south, and they are falling back in good order, which, depending on how the combat with that chariot goes, could mean a pretty poor overrun and cause some real issues. Dwarf players suddenly looking back in it. That's a lot of points that they'll be able to mop up over the course of not that many turns. It is a little bit weird being live for this long. It's normally this is around the point of the stream where you start wrapping things up. But I reckon we've got a solid 2 turns left to play this one through. Roughly an hour left on the round as well. So we've got time to get to the true bitter end in this game. Attacks going into the chariot there, I believe. Yep, did lose a wound. Not very many wounds remaining. Some wound markers and combat res marked there. This chariot is done for. It really needs to roll well. It needs to pass its armor save if it doesn't, to make sure it doesn't die. And then it also needs to make sure that it gives ground. If it doesn't, that second unit of Boar Boys are going to get cut down. And I think that's just going to be incredibly punishing. Come on, Dwarves. Yeah, I've decided that I'm going to be impartial, maybe. Okay. So this is an overrun of 5 inches. They're just double-checking, can you overrun if you killed the model in combat? Obviously you can, but something that I've been told by multiple people who stream is they don't like interacting with the game if they can avoid it. Obviously I have had, looked over and quizzically, and Peter's pointed things out, but I don't want to interfere with the course of the game. They can check with the TO there. So yes, they have worked out they can indeed overrun. And I think they are they in combat? Oh, yes, they are. Oh, no. They're just out of combat. It is the Dwarf turn next, however, so looks pretty solid in terms of making sure they can pick up those points. However, those Boar Boys are no longer frenzied. They have lost combat, so they will be able to flee, which I think is probably going to be a wise decision. Run away to live another day, and then just try and pick up as many points in the back lines. As you can see, the Wyvern in the back line there, doing some failing to wound with the Poison Sting. That Poison Sting only kicks in any time there's a challenge. The Orc Warlord on top. 2 wounds there with the choppiest axe. A couple of AP3 wounds going to go straight through on that cannon. Thomas just picking it up. Peter rolling it out. I also like to roll out my attacks, even when there's a low chance of it not killing things, because I've seen dice spike enough that it feels bad for my opponent just to pick up a model, unless it's so out there. Snack says, how far is the overrun? The overrun was only 5 inches, and it looks like it stopped maybe half an inch shy of getting into that unit of Boar Boys. You'll be playing in your first tournament in 2 weeks, taking Double Dragon, Double Sphinx. How much will I be hated? It's a pretty good list. But because of other things that exist, like Vampire Counts and Cathay, It's not the best of the best. Thought it was a chopper, not an axe. The choppiest chopper, indeed. You're not baiting me in. The dwarf players are already annoyed enough with me. I'm not going to make any sort of short troops. Some very poor rolls to wound there from the top left corner. That was 4 attacks. So I'm not 100% sure what that was because... Oh, that was the Gyrocopters. Bottom right there. We've got I believe, the 2 copters fighting the chariot. A whole lot of not much happening. Amy says, sadly just 4 wyverns at 2.6k. How cheap can you make a wyvern? I guess you could just go relatively naked, right? Another tea would be lovely, please, mate. I'm getting the gold service here. Tea on tap, which is good because my water's running shy. My aloe vera drink is gone. You know, these are the harsh streaming conditions that you've got to endure when you cast a tournament. The dwarf player might get short with me. 245-ish. Okay, so you could do more, right? Because you can put you can take multiple Black Orc war bosses on wyverns. I think the only limiting factor is you've got to have a Black Orc chariot for them. So you could go 5. If you go 2 Black Orc, 3 Black... No, you could go 6. 2 Black Orc chariots in rare, 1 in core, so you can take 3 Black Orcs, and then you can take 2 other ones. Okay, so it is 5. Yeah, it is 5. 292 for Trollhide Trousers, Charm Shield, Great Weapon Heavy. Yeah. Very good. Very good. All right, into the dwarf's turn. We've got the Thane with the gun really just keen to get out there. Not going to be able to shoot all that much this turn. Could probably put some shots into a chariot or a giant. It's going to be the best option there. But the stand and shoot will be absolutely punishing when that one comes in. So not a model that you want to shoot. Anyone who doesn't know, if you've been lucky enough not to be on the receiving end on the Dwarf Thane, who has a handgun, Rune of Bursting Flame, Rune of Accuracy, and Rune of Rapid Fire, you fire 2 shots that you ignore all penalties. It's on a Thane, so you're only ever hitting on 4s, but that's, 3s, that's still pretty good. So 2 shots that hit on 3s, ignoring all modifiers. This is really good at killing skirmishers. For every hit, you make 2d3 hits, and it's, strength 4, AP 1, armor bone 1. So it's a really, really solid profile there. It's a shame you can't put Rune of Fury on ranged weapons. That'd be nice. Just pay 45 points to have a 4-shot handgun. I'd probably pay that. That sounds pretty good. Pretty solid. It's funny how a couple of whiffed combats, because the Orcs and Goblins player has had some pretty low rolls in combat, I will say. But a couple of whiffed combats can really turn things around. That unit there that the Longbeards overran next to and then charged, 200 points, something like that. So managing to rack up the sport points here and there, and depending on whether the Wyvern manages to eat the characters in the back line, in the forest, could really make a big difference in terms of how close this is going to be. But my prediction is looking, it's going to be 12-8 either way at this point, I think. Everyone hyped for the reveal show this weekend? Next weekend. It is the weekend now. I'm very, very hyped. I have seen spurious rumors that it's Kislev. I don't believe it, but it'd be cool if it was. Would be cool if it was. Look at that. Removable trees. If you're doing a fantasy tournament, this is how you do it. Make sure those trees can be picked up. Thank you, Chaos Black. Can't wait for the reveal show, hoping it's Kislev. I think it's probably not going to be Kislev. I don't know what it's going to be. Could be Marauders, more Marauder stuff. Maybe some characters to tie in with that. Although it feels a little bit weird that they announced some stuff. Honestly, it feels a bit weird that they just dropped that so early, because they could have put that in the reveal show. Not that I'm complaining. It means that we're getting more stuff. some shooting going into the Wyvern there from the remaining Iron Drakes. Not that many shots, so not that much risk of death. I think the Wyverns are pretty safe for what's left on the board. There's, I think, one cannon that is able to actually threaten it, so it should take a long time to get there. Mosley says, could see a new Chaos Dragon in the reveal. That'd be cool. Yeah, a Chaos Dragon that fits on a 60 by 100 mil base as opposed to the one that we have currently. All right, good combat here. I'm thinking this is top middle by the looks of things. Oh, yes, it is indeed. Crew have been picked up. The cannon is kaput, and hopefully that unit of Boar Boys is going to be able to test restrain, reface towards. Oh, there we go. That cannon's days are numbered. It is coming into Peter's turn for next. So we've got a good charge set up there. Tomb King Lieutenant confirmed. Yeah, that would do it. That would do it. We haven't got many of those. We haven't got 17 like we have for Space Marines. We need another Tomb King Captain. Yeah. I mean, if all the old armies, if all the old sculpts start getting, you know, picked up and replaced over the next year, I'd be very, very excited about that. More like any dragon will be on 100 by 150. Honestly, that's probably good for the game. It makes me a little bit sad as a dragon enjoyer, but it's probably good for the game. I believe this is the attacks going into the central brick here. I think there's been a challenge by the looks of things. So nothing happening on the Orc side, but I think the Orc unit champion may well be about to be cut down by the BSB. One frenzied Boar Boy unit champion killed by the Battle Standard Bearer. Cut down in his prime, you could say. I wonder where the King's position... The King's position on the far side of that unit. I maybe would have accepted the challenge with the King to get more combat res in it. But, I mean, if we're being honest with each other, it's not going to matter here. One wound back done by the Boar Boys. Passed on the ward save, though. Nothing doing there. I'm seeing another overrun angle. I think those wolves are in for a little bit of a bit of pain. Just the overrun into the overrun into the overrun from this unit of Longbeards has done huge work for Thomas. He's going to pick up a lot of points here. Ian says they need to reveal a Tomb King character on a snake, if for no more reason than to stop me moaning about it. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I genuinely... believed that we were going to be getting a Tomb King on a snake character. I was very excited about that because I was like, oh, I can put a BSB into a unit of a Shabti. That would be fun. I don't know if it would be good, but it'd be fun. Alas, 'twas not to be. 'Twas not to be. I'm just here for nicely painted minis and top-down views of biceps. Okay, sure. It's hard to argue with. The Chaos Dwarf looks super good, even from the angle. If you're talking about this game, this is full Orcs and Goblins. It's just a very Chaos Dwarf style of basing. Still waiting on a Brett Duke on Hippogriff. There was one of those models, but a long time ago, and it does look its age. There was a noise of excitement there from Peter, so I think... Oh, double one! Give ground! Congratulations, sir. That is exactly what he needed to stop this from going south. This gives chance for both that Chariot and Wolves to get out of there. They could go in to support the Brethren, but I would not recommend it. I think that unit of Boar Boys is dead, and let's just accept that and not be in charge range. Savage Orcs on Spiders, your dream for this release. I hate to ruin those dreams for you. Maybe it will be. Who knows? The Dwarf player needs to check out Minimag Tray. Yeah, absolutely. They do. I need to get some of those myself, honestly. But my problem is that I lock in armies pretty late and then build and paint them pretty late and then go, I just need to make myself some movement trays. Dave says other movement tray companies exist. Yeah, they don't sponsor this channel, but, I mean, it looks like they do a good product, so it's not unreasonable to shout them out. What about spiders riding orcs? Would that make the Ragnarok spider better if it was the character and it could ride a variety of different models? So you'd use the movement stat of the thing that it's riding. So you'd only be moving 4 inches. But then you could put it on the back of an orc. What size are the tables at this event? Full 4x6. Yes, that is correct. These are 4x6 tables. Thanks again to Ginger Steve's generosity, who did contribute towards getting Lewis some full-sized table covers there. He had only the... it's turned my camera off again. This is not a camera that I use with regularity, unfortunately, because it was freezing. But I did think I'd managed to resolve those issues. The Ragnarok is the character. That is true. Yeah, it is, but there are, as Dave points out, there are rules, interactions that make it so that it not being the rider is a real downside. We just pay 135 points to give it magic. Yeah, that's, well, yeah, and the ability to take a ward save as well. Spiders wielding 6 swords and 2 bites. I'm really annoyed that the Ragnarok only has 6 attacks. It should have 8 as a spider. And also a flat 8 stomps, or at least d6 plus 2. I'll be complaining to Games Workshop directly. I'll be walking down to Lenton, where the Warhammer World HQ is, and going from there. Ooh, looks like a big itchy nuisance there for Peter. That's minus either 2 or minus 3 on the toughness there. That is pretty big. Now, what I will say, not that I'm biased for the Orcs and Goblins player, but I hope this doesn't bait him to go into combat. I think that Wyvern's going to have quite a difficult charge to go for, and I'd much rather see it go and pick up the characters that are in the wood. If it goes into the back of that unit of Longbeards, like, yes, theoretically it does well. I'm not feeling it. I think this is ignore the Longbeards, pick up the characters that are in the separate unit. So just waiting to see where he is declaring those charges. Those Orc Boar Boys going into the cannon, basically unable to fail. In fact, completely unable to fail. Did go in and going to cut him down. I wonder if it was a flee angle. Not that he would get away, but then Peter would have to choose to redirect or hold. And if the cannon runs behind that wood, it just becomes more difficult for the Boar Boys to actually make it into combat there. I think that's one where I'd be very tempted to flee with that cannon. The Wyvern going into the back of the Copters is interesting. I really would have liked to see it go into the unit of Iron Drakes. There's a lot of points tied up there that are not being picked up currently. It's a trap. It is a trap. Oh, a lovely cup of tea. I really didn't start drinking tea until later in life. And I know I'm only 32, so I don't mean late. But it took me a while to get on it. I was a big coffee drinker when I used to run a coffee shop. Shouldn't spiders have 10 attacks, 8 legs, bite, and a bum thrust? Now you're being greedy. You can have 8, and you'll like it. Tell you what, let's have a quick look for time on the round. What are we looking at in terms of timetable here? So we've got 30 minutes left. I think they'll be able to wrap this up in 30 minutes. Looking good on... This is really swinging back and forth, but I think the charge decisions by the Orcs and Goblins player means that there is a real world where the Dwarf player, at the very least, keeps it tight. Until I get older. Sec used to be a big coffee drinker. You still are, but I used to be as well. My doctor told me to cut down on the amount of coffee I drink. Coffee and sparkling water. So the story goes, I worked/ran a coffee shop for 7 years, got made redundant, best thing that could have happened to me, moved into an office job where I was selling food directly to businesses. While I was there, I continued my, I wouldn't say caffeine addiction, but my enjoyment of caffeine. So I drank a lot of caffeine, and I really liked sparkling water as well. Tap water in Nottingham is very, very lime scale heavy. I hate the taste of it. So I should have got a water filter, but instead I was just buying back when they were quite cheap. It was something like 20, 25p per bottle. You got them in a bumper pack of Sainsbury's own brand sparkling water. So huge fan of sparkling water, but the combination of all of the carbonation I was drinking, it's a very aggressively carbonated water, alongside the 3 coffees a day I was drinking or whatever it was, I ended up with very severe indigestion. And I don't know if you've had indigestion that bad, but it felt like I was having a heart attack. I genuinely was getting a pain in my arm. I had tightness of chest. I was really worried that I was having a heart attack. I left it for a couple of days because I'm a man. And I was like, oh, maybe it'll be fine, or I'll die. But it didn't go away. And the reason it didn't get away was I was getting more and more stressed about the heart attack symptoms, which wasn't a heart attack. The stress then manifested in terms of heart attack symptoms. So I went to the doctor after a couple of days, and he laughed at me, which is what I needed. And he said, you're not having a heart attack, which was exactly what I needed to not feel terrible. But yeah, recommended that I cut down on the amount of caffeine and sparkling drinks I drink. He did say, do you drink any sparkling drinks? And I was like, no, because I immediately was thinking he meant carbonated, like Fanta, Coke, whatever. I'm not a big sugary drink guy. Iced coffee, yes, but not pop soda for the American viewers. Yeah, so I was like, oh, just sparkling water, but that doesn't count. He goes, oh, that's interesting. Why do you think that doesn't count? I was like, oh, it's got no sugar in. It wasn't the sugar. It was the carbonation that was doing me in. So, yeah, now I try to limit to 0 to 1 coffee a day. And that's my incredibly interesting story on how I thought I was having a heart attack because I drank too much coffee. 3 coffees is not a lot. No, I used to drink, when I was in a coffee shop, I used to average out to probably about 6 or 7. But they were all doubles, so it was, whatever equivalent of caffeine that is. And I used to say I've got a little bit of blood in my caffeine stream. But then dialed it down once I didn't have free coffee on top. You work for a coffee shop distributor. You have an unlimited access to the same automatic espresso machine the coffee stores have. I'm sure it's not a problem. Good coffee shops don't have automatic espresso. Well, there's my snobbery as someone who used to actually hand-pull coffee shots. Amy says you drink 12 to 15 cups of tea and coffee a day. If it's mostly tea, people say that tea has caffeine in it, it's technically it does, but it's fairly meaningless in terms of level. Doctor told you max 4 coffees a day, but I'm a million years old now. Yeah, that's fair. Who's winning? Seb says it's a pretty close game, actually. We're in the tail end of the Dwarfs turn number 4, and they did go first. So, sorry, this is the tail end of the Orcs and Goblins turn 4. So we are seeing lots of bits and pieces being mopped up, but a lot of the characters are still alive. So it remains to be seen whether or not the Orcs player is going to be able to pick up those characters. That is a good tea. A lot of attacks coming in here. Looking to me like this is the Wyvern combat with the 2 copters there. Hating on 3s, maybe not. Looks like it's probably the fight in the center. As I say, I'm going to try and get the players mixed up for the next game. I just need to actually get this connected properly. They weren't connecting in the previous, setup period. Did Lewis make you the tea? He's terrible at making tea. He did. I gave him very specific instructions, though, Flo. I said, can I have a little bit of milk, 1 sugar, and leave the tea back in, and then I will adjust. I've had enough Lewis teas. But you know what? He made a good tea, and by that I mean I made sure that the strength was correct. Not a fan of that autofocus going on in the dice tray. Just get him to leave you the tea bag in, and then you'll be happy with your teas. Looking like some overrunning here. So that to me looks like it might be a fallback in good order. Or no, it was a full flee. All right, the copters have finally fallen, and they do make it off the map. Both the chariot and the wyvern chasing them up just to make sure that they catch them there. Very, very big, managing to mop up those points. 140 points for the two copters is not cheap, and this is going to be a game, I think, that relies on, you know, as many points as possible. I did think that the dwarf play was back into it with that sort of chain of overruns, but the double one really saved Peter on that, you know, couple of orc boar boys there. They're now basically surrounded on all sides. And a couple of characters over to the right there. I would have liked to have seen those characters leave the unit they were in and try and join. I guess they couldn't join the Longbeards, but march at least behind them if that's a possibility. 666, such a sad thing to see when you don't have any armor bane. But still pretty impressive. Those two boar boys in the center of the board managing to kill a single Longbeard. We are expecting to see a lot of damage coming back. Down to a single model. Now, moment of truth. Is he going to be able to survive through and roll another double one? Odds are not in his favor. There's quite a lot of attacks coming back in. 2 wounds there, I believe. Oh, no. That must have been the BSB with the hand weapon. This is where the 1.5... Obviously, we were talking about how dwarves did get buffed by 1.5. This is the thing that definitely nerfed them. The fighting rank. Yes, it's 2 ranks, but you can only fight in your distance. And if your move distance is 3 inches, that definitely sucks. And yet another reason to make sure you've got a Bugman's cart in the list if you can do. Lots of great weapon attacks coming in. 2 armor bane, so AP3, and then 3 at AP2. He's gonna make 5/6s, he says. Should have rolled them separately, but I think he was so, had decided that they were dead to the point where he's like, I'm just gonna roll them, and if it's 5/6 great, and if it's not, too bad, so sad. A nice test to restrain there. Which direction are you facing for your Longbeards? I'm going towards the wyvern in front, and getting off that hill. That hill is death. Although, actually, that said, the wyvern is pointing the wrong way, given that it... nope, it did test to restrain. It's now facing the right way. Not having a... Oh, that's... I'm not going to say anything too loud, but I think that's a big mistake. He's not pivoted to get off the hill, which means that he is going to be charged in the flank by 2 wyverns, I believe. Looks to me like the wyvern is in charge arc. Oh, as in, it can see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just the angle that's throwing me off a little bit, but I think there's going to be a lot of punishment coming into that unit of Longbeards. I guess his expectation is that the Orc Peter's going to charge into the unit of Iron Drakes with the characters there, and with that said, he wants to be facing the direction of the charge, but I think it might have opened him up to a big charge. Peter's had to step away for a phone call. Good job he wasn't mic'd up. Good timing there. Great weapons. They're not just good, they're great! I saw it before you deleted the comment. Or maybe you didn't delete the comment and maybe YouTube's just been a silly bugger. That's entirely possible. How are the ads on this stream? On the Tuesday stream, some people were complaining that they were way more ads than normal. I hadn't changed anything. I just have the default settings enabled, which is like moderate or whatever it's called. But people haven't been complaining here, so I'm hoping it's sorted itself out, because I've literally just copy and pasted the settings from the last stream, so it's exactly the same. Getting better at not touching the microphone as well, which is something. Definitely something. No ads you pay for YouTube? Yeah, hell yeah. Also would recommend ad blocker. Obviously it means I don't get, you know, money for the view. I don't care. Like, ads are terrible. I recommend that you all use ad blocker if you can. Obviously YouTube's trying to crack down on it, but if you can avoid having to watch them, I rate that more than, you know, the pennies that I get from it. Amazing. Maybe it's gone the other way. Orchestration says my VPN is set to Japan. I have no idea what they're trying to sell. You know what? Actually, that might be the best plug for a VPN I've ever heard. I would watch Japanese advertising because they do a lot of wacky... A lot of the content that they put out that is not like more serious content is incredibly wacky, like the game shows or various funny advertisements I've seen. Long, long man. Stack doesn't want to figure out sideloading an ad blocker on your TV. Yeah, that's super fair. That's super fair. If you're happy to pay for the privilege of not having ads, fair enough. Ooh, Lewis sent me some more pictures. Tell you what, while we're waiting here, let's go into... I had reset this, but let's just go... Oh, that is beautiful. Look at that. This is very World of Warcraft coded, I think. Looks like the sort of thing that you'd expect to see in WoW. Some really nice non-metallic metal in there. I'm going to just zoom in on that NMMM. Look at that detailing. Beautiful. Beautiful. Little bit of shooting going into the Orc boys there. I think this might be a standard shoot. Let's have a look at the other photos shown while we just wait for something to happen here. A nice baggage train. That is a nice baggage train. The cannons before they were unceremoniously picked off the board. The classic handgun Thane. Steck says looks like a WoW mini. Yeah, I know, right? I wonder if it is. All right, let's go back to the top down. Those Boar Boys and the Wyvern have made it in, which is horrifying. Those poor dwarves. Poor dwarves, not long left for the. What turn are you on?
It's the end of 5.
End of 5.
We're going to run out of time.
That's fair. All right.
We're just going to play that and then
Absolutely, yeah. This is the end of 5. I think I was a turn out. That's going to be a beautiful battle shot. But yeah, this is basically the end of the game. They're just going to wrap up here and finish the game. Realistically, I think, looking at it, both players are going to struggle to score any more points. I think Thomas probably could look to pick someone off with the Thane, but all of the things that he's going to want to shoot are a little bit far away, so I think he might struggle to kill anything meaningful. And then it'll be his turn, so he can join the Thane into the unit. So realistically, I think Peter's going to struggle to kill anything on his turn 6 here. So it's going to be basically settled at the end of turn 5 here. Gordo says literally Thrall. Yeah, it does look like Thrall. Orchestration says it might be biased from other media. I always feel like Dwarf should be a purely melee army. I find it fun in the old world they have guns. Yeah, the problem is they're so slow. So if you're a melee army that doesn't go anywhere, it's really hard to affect the board. I love any unit that can have a melee weapon and a ranged weapon. I'm a big fan of that for Dwarves. Rolling out the combat, given that it's the last turn of the game, I guess if a character does manage to survive and then double 1 on the break test, it is worth not losing those points. I think that was the poison attack. Peter rolling consistently well with the poison strikes first attack, and by that I mean not rolling to wound, which is exactly what you want to see. 4 hits there into the challenge with the big melee weapon. Oh, 4 wounds as well. I believe both the characters in that squad are 2 wound models, so something's going to be falling over pretty sharpish. Oh. 4 wounds, no ward save by the looks of things. Yep. Gone. Runesmith dead. Runesmith deleted. Some overkill as well. I do have to take this as an opportunity to say, if you are looking to get into Old World or you want to buy a new army, something like that, maybe you're looking for something to get started on the Close Order Escalation League that I'll be running in January onwards of 2026. Orcs and Goblins, fantastic army to do so. So versatile, but also lots of reliability built in because they have high number of attacks and rerolling 1s to wound on those choppers. Handshake has come in. It is the end of the game. So we're just going to wait for the players to tally up, and we'll see how this one ended. I'm curious because I think it's looking like a victory for the Orcs and Goblins player, but not as big as it could be. I think realistically, it might end up being a 16-4. I think my early prediction of a 12-8 was a little optimistic for the Dwarf player. Captain says, I started the Old World with 1.5. I have big problems with Beastmen because I want to charge, but the new rule that 2 lines can fight back without saves, I die very fast. Is it normal? Yeah, Beastmen can feel a little bit vulnerable to that. What I'd recommend is trying to load up the units that you want to get into combat with combat characters, because the Beastmen are fine, especially if you've got 2 hand weapon attacks, your strength 4 on the charge with 2 attacks per model. But if you juice that up with a Demonology Wizard that gives them Demonic Vessel, so you're getting +1 strength and attack, getting up to, your strength 5, AP 1, 3 attacks each, you're going to blend through things. And also having a character that might have, baseline 4 attacks, getting up to 5, can do a lot there. All right, just tallying up the points. Doing it classic style. Hopefully at some point we'll get some solid... Someone will just come in with an app that's so perfect that we don't need anything else, and we can just all put our scores into there, and it'll be nice and convenient. Forever the Skeptic says, just tuning into this. This is great. Need more live streams. Amazing. Thank you so much. We're coming to the end of this one. We are going to tally up the points. I might sit here for a little bit longer, but what we're going to be doing is coming into round 3. There'll be a new stream. There will be a new set of 2 armies on the stream. Going to be a lot of fun. I don't know what we're getting yet. Because it's teams, none of the pairings can be predicted, so it'll be... it'll be something. Coming in probably around, I want to say, 4:15, 4:20. But again, I will be posting it in the Discord with the @everyone tag, so do make sure that...
If anyone likes my painting, there's a page to follow.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for being on the stream. I think it's entirely reasonable to give you a plug out for it. That's fair. So if anyone wants to see the painting, Bright Mini Painting, you can find him on Facebook and probably elsewhere. He is a commission painter. He says he doesn't need the work, but if you're looking for an army that does look as fantastic as that, and I can, having seen how nice the models are, I feel comfortable plugging him there. Bright Mini Painting on Facebook, you can find him. But there should be plenty of pictures there, some glamour shots as well. I'll be checking him out between the stream, I'm sure. How would an escalation league work online? So in terms of the escalation league, I'm going to run it through Underworld Games in Nottingham. I did mention a few months ago to the guys who run it there, or the people who run the Old World Games there, that I'd be interested in doing that. So I need to nail down some details with them. But we'll be playing games there. But the actual hobby side of everything will be run through online. Probably won't be looking to do like an escalation playing league. But I think it'll be more the hobby side of things. And I'd recommend that you get games in with your painted models as well. Miniatures and Stuff says, I've recently become a Dwarf enjoyer, loving it. Doomseekers seem cool. Are they any good, though? They're not bad. They're really not bad. I think not spending too many points on them is the key thing. One that's like 80 points, I think, is a really nice middle ground to go for. You don't want to play into someone who can just say, oh, I won't kill him, and then I get a small win because of it, and you just never manage to catch me. But some armies are going to be very aggressive towards you, or You can run towards them, and they have to be stationary depending on what the army, so they can do a lot of damage. Yeah, I do like one, maybe two Doomseekers that aren't too many points. Mosley says, can only assume the Orcs and Goblin reliability refers to the Mangler Squigs I'm painting while watching. I really like the random movers. While they don't have reliability, they have reliability in the fact that you stand behind a piece of terrain. So the best way to use the random movers would be to put them, say, behind a hill here on this board, or maybe behind the forest, and you roll, and if you get a good roll that can get you into contact with you know, an enemy model, amazing. And if not, maybe you just stay there. You don't have to be aggressive. You're not going to be shot. You're behind a hill. So random movers, while not technically reliable, relatively reliable. Oh, an 18-2, a much bigger swing than I thought it was going to be. So 18-2 in the favor of the Orcs and Goblins. Huge shout out to Peter. Looking forward to seeing how that does for the rest of the round. How are people looking in terms of points being submitted? I'm assuming we probably don't have all that many submitted so far. Let's have a look here. If I just go... Boom. Okay, so let's have a quick look at how round 2 is going before we wrap this one up. Like I say, going to take a short break. Going to try and get the players mixed up for the second one. No promises because I was struggling to get them working. But at worst, I'll get them mixed up for day 2, and we'll go from there. So as we can see here, it's looking like a good start for the Dogs of War into Slam Bam Thank You Bam. Slam Bam Thank You Bam coming in hot off the press in round 1 with the largest lead that we had. But the 2 games that are played so far, we've got an 18-2 and a 9-11. So we're looking at 27 points to only 13. Vampire Counts into High Elf Realms. I'm expecting this to be a moderate win for the Vampire Counts. And then Orcs and Goblins into High Elf Realms. This could go wrong for the High Elf player, given that Orcs and Goblins have a lot of stuff like Fanatics in their kit. But I think this is a pretty solid showing so far. 18-2, this is likely going to be the swing game. So really good one to have on stream. Really pleased. Thank you to Peter and Thomas for playing. Cruel Runnings into Norwich Last Standers. 20-0 for Cathay into Warriors of Chaos. That is to be expected. Although, to be fair to him, if we just very quickly look at Matthew's list, I think he's gone a little bit restricted on it. So he's gone Mao Ying, he's gone double Shigengan Lord, so very heavy on double illusion for Spectral Doppelgangers. Gone 2 cannons, a Fire Ray Rocket Battery and a Sky Lantern, and then some Lancers and Warriors. Okay, that's a pretty restrained list. I think this is not a problem list at all. 1 balloon that doesn't have a ward save. Yeah, that's something that people should be able to play into. So congrats to Matthew for doing so well with that. That's a really good result. Dark Elves, small loss into Errantry Crusade. I think that's sort of within the bounds of what I wouldn't be surprised to see. Renegades of Funk versus Close Horse. Big stomp we saw earlier from Steven. Sorry again, Gwillem. Nick winning Skaven into Empire, 12-8. And then Cathay winning 14-6 into Demons. Okay, all to play for in the Lizardmen versus Vampire Counts match. But I think it's going to be very difficult for them to come back. If Lizardmen win, I can't imagine that they win 20-0. So this is looking like Close Horse might be taking the round. In terms of my predictions for Cruel Runnings versus Norwich Last Standers, these last games could go either way. But I think I'd take Cruel Runnings as the likely victors in this one. Slam Bam name change live on stream. I don't think so. I think that is their name. Maybe I said something wrong. Only 5 minutes remaining on the round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you so much for tuning in for Game 2. Game 3 will be up within half an hour. It will be posted on the channel. If you are following the channel and you want notifications, make sure you've got the little bell emoji thing ticked. It means that you get notifications every time I go live or post a video. For some reason, YouTube doesn't give you notifications when the channels that you subscribe to do stuff. Who knows why that is? But also, make sure you're on Discord. I will post it in announcements, and hopefully that should pop up, although someone said that they weren't getting @everyone pings from there. So maybe something I need to look into. I will have a look. Changed it from MAM to second BAM. Oh, I was doing the thing where my brain was already on to the next sentence and my mouth was still going. All right, it has been a genuine pleasure. Really enjoyed it. And like I say, short break. I will be back in roughly 30 minutes for the next stream.